Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Fight Night Rising. Back once again with the co-caster Boopasaurus. How are you doing tonight?
Oh man, I love your intros, man. You gassed me up so good. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I am doing pretty well. Excited to cast some team fight tactics action. Got a lot of stuff coming up the next few days. Fight Night Rising and then Worlds qualifiers. So it's a lot of good stuff. A lot of good competing energy. But we got some great competitors for you all tonight. Eight, some returning and some new players actually. We got Doublezzzz, who we've seen on Fight Night before. Don't think he's taken a win yet, but Doublezzzz always a pretty solid, consistent player. So hopefully he's able to make an impact. We got Sphinx. We got Impeeba. Impeeba, I know we both love casting. Uh,
Yeah.
got Treebeard, MismatchedSocks, one of the best players in North America. I'm sure we all could agree. And then Xiao, Zero, and Arestidios. So some new competitors here to Fight Night as well. I'm always excited to see how these new players will do.
And I love seeing the new players and the vets, but I'm particularly interested to see Treebeard and Impeeba in the same lobby. I feel like their play styles both interact and counteract with each other kind of a lot. So we'll see what happens there. This should be a very interesting lobby in terms of, we have these vets that are returning. You got a couple people who are playing tomorrow in qualifiers, right?
Yeah.
That are using this as a little bit of a warm up, but we also have these new people who could potentially, tilt some of these vets going in tomorrow, right? And I'm wondering what we're going to see from people like Sphinx, and MismatchedSocks, who are going to play tomorrow. Are we going to see some experimentation today, or are we going to see a little bit of what they're going to run tomorrow?
Yeah, I would assume we're going to see what they're going to run tomorrow. I mean, they've had so long to prep, and I'm pretty sure it literally starts, yeah, tomorrow. So they should be prepped in what they're going to run. No matter what they practice on ladder, people can scout that. So it's not like they want to hide things coming into today's
Mhm.
tournament, unless they have like some super secret Smurf account or something. But I don't really imagine that will be the case. But we will get into game number one very, very shortly here. Maybe we're on a
Yeah.
galaxy. Maybe not.
Well, it's me, so probably not. So, the other cool thing about what this is, it's kind of like a dress rehearsal, right,
Yeah.
for some of our players tomorrow. But that also means that everyone else has to elevate their game too, because if we're taking this as a dress rehearsal, like I would if I was in their position for something like tomorrow, I would be. Oh, I was about to say no galaxy, but no, it's
No,
binary
it's
star.
binary and a
But
full item.
yeah, they're going to have to elevate themselves too to compete with everyone who's given them their max right now. So that's going to
Yeah.
be like a really interesting dichotomy in this lobby. And I'm wondering if we're going to see a separation of veterans at the top with our, kind of as we go down through experience, or are we going to see some spoilers here? I think anything can really happen, especially in this particular meta, which is very versatile.
Oh yeah, versatile is the very, very, very right word to use, I think, for this meta. And to your point about if we'll see a sort of gap in the lobby, I would assume that we will. I think that these players, like MismatchedSocks, Sphinx, Piba, Treebeard, like definitely have been prepping a lot recently. They're going to be at the top of their game. And new players sometimes they can make a bit of a wave and make a bit of an impact there, but if these players, this is a world qualification spot, if they're not like treating this as practice going into tomorrow, like be on their A game, trying 100%, then like, why are they here competing, right? So I'd assume they're all going to give it their all.
Totally. Totally agree. Like to have the opportunity to have something like this before a tournament, it's not like I don't think they're gonna be super tired or fatigued for tomorrow if they,
Yeah. No.
give it their all today. But like the opportunity of just like a standard like dress rehearsal, whether you're in theater or music, like this moment is so great for what is going to happen
Hmm.
tomorrow. So, and if you win today, you're going to feel great tomorrow and probably go into it
Oh yeah.
feeling like you can take over the world, as Doublezz is breakdancing with those nocturnes. And so you were saying that Doublezz is someone who has participated here before. I
Yeah.
was doing a little bit of research, seems to dabble in what we've been doing, but is there anything more that you can share with us about this player?
Doubles is a player who I think has some really good days and has some pretty mediocre to say like on the poor side days. So
Mhm.
the consistency over a long period of time isn't that great. But if he's like on for that day, he's on. And so the question I think is this a day where Doublezzzz is going to be bringing that A game, or will it be a more mediocre day for him? I'm not too sure how he's been doing quite on this patch recently, but I'm sure we'll see even in this game number 1 what direction he's looking.
I can speak a little bit on Sphinx, which is I seem to be his kryptonite. He does really well when I don't cast him, but when I cast him, he like maxes out at 4th. It's unfortunate. So hopefully the curse is broken today, because good old Sphinx boy, the new Riot Pegasus, right? More. As we call it.
Maximilian.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, Sphinxy boy, you can't beat me at my own game. It's kind of what's going on here. And Sphinx he likes Vanguards, he likes Vanguard Mystics, he likes to go mech when he can. So it's all about, for him, how his, I think, mental stays throughout, because I have seen Sphinx get a little in his head during a lot of these games, and when he gets behind, he tends to snowball a little bit in the wrong direction. So that's something I really want, and that's something that he has been working on for a very long time, a la like Gunmei, like, and his redemption arc, in my opinion. And so Sphinx has always been a ladder player, but once we get into these tournaments, just like you were talking about doubles, it's very polarizing where he's at. So I'm hoping to see today him be really, really consistent. I don't need to see him like win all the lobbies, but it would be really cool to see Sphinx going into qualifiers tomorrow try to be as consistent as possible. And right now he's running something that he likes to run, which are these Vanguards.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even you bring up the point about how the Sphinx kind of storyline is a little bit similar to the Gunmei one. I was going to bring up a point, but I didn't really personally relate it to Gunmei until you said it. But I completely agree. I think that the improvement that Sphinx has shown over time. I remember casting Sphinx a long time ago here on Fight Night, and seeing his ladder performance was like decent back then. But he's really come a long way and been a consistent top ladder player, and a player who's consistently performing better and better over time goes here at Fight Nights as well. And he's gotten to the point where he's competing tomorrow in these world qualifiers. I think that Sphinx is, definitely on the come up, prove that he has made a lot of good changes. Will he be consistent, like you say, that's just so important for him to do? We'll see, but I mean, definitely on a good track.
Only question he hasn't answered yet, right? He's done the general like 0 to hero at this point, right? And he's getting his name recognized. Most people who are in the community know who he is. It's all about solidifying your spot in history, like this man has. Because if you are wondering why Impeeba sounds familiar, there is a little bit of a comp with little to no synergy, but a lot of 5-cost units that he invented. You want to walk us through the legend of the Grand Impeeba?
Oh man, what do I even say about Impeeba? Long story short, Impeeba loves Bard. Bard, you attack level 9 pretty fast, and you just slam those legendaries in there, and that's the Impeeba comp. You'd slap an Echo, Janna, Xerath. There's a couple other, Argot being one of them as well. Slap all those into a comp, and turns out they're pretty good units. They are pretty freaking good units. Impeeba being a player who's very, very first to Wraith, like he'll play 3 bards on a board even if he's like 20 HP. It's just, it's insane, honestly. But I love it.
So there's also another person in this lobby that loves Bard, which is Treebeard. So we actually might have a little bit of a Bard, Bardal combat here with these two players. And Impeeba is someone, like you said, is happy to get 8th by trying something new. You know what I mean? Yeah, and a very, very entertaining player. Will pull off some of the craziest things you'll ever see. Like you'll look and he'll be running one thing, and then like 2 rounds later, it's like completely different and working somehow. And and that's like one of the most wonderful things about this game too. Things could kind of switch on a dime. But here on Binary Star, do you think this affects anyone in this lobby? Maybe someone we've talked about already, someone who likes to run a certain comp. Does this affect gameplay really all that much for this lobby?
Yeah, that is interesting. So I guess I'll preface by saying that definitely on Binary Star, some comps are a bit worse, some comps are a bit better. I know MismatchedSocks has been, I don't know if he still has remained consistent with it, but I know he went into at least last week going Blade Masters every single game. And
sold
being on Binary, sold a Jin 2 for a Master E1 with the RFC there. And it looks like Socks, he has a Master E actually, but he made an Ionic Spark, so maybe not going to go that same route. But anyways, Binary Star, bad for comps like Master Yi, which really excel with 3 items. Good for comps that want to spread their items out, like Cybernetics, for example, and Astro Snipers. I think benefit the most from Binary Star. You can get away with 2 items on your snipers, like the Blue Whip Morello's Teemo, i.e. Last Whisper Jin, and then some items in the front line. I think players will be looking to go those sort of compositions here. I'm not sure what our new players here in this lobby like to run, but we'll be checking those players out here soon and seeing where they are going. They are sitting all 3 at the bottom of the lobby right now, though, but hopefully that'll change as the game goes on.
Yeah, we thought there might be a little bit of separation. It does seem to be happening right now. Sphinx, a very, very fast starter a lot of the time. When you see Sphinx losing HP early on, that's usually not a good thing for him. But
Yeah.
seeing him on top with 100 HP right now is really good for Sphinx-a-boy. Treebeard, though, has some good units right now, has some good powerful items as well, but is it going to be enough? Everyone running the Ziggs to open, at least 2 or 3 people so far.
Yeah.
Frozen Heart, an item that's becoming pretty popular because of Static Shiv. But the other thing that's really awesome right now for his opponent is you see Thieves Gloves does not abide by the rules of the binary.
Yep, very,
right?
very
So,
true. Super value.
yeah, so it's really, really valuable, especially later on in the game when you can kind of luck into, the Last Whisper IE a little bit later. So it's tons of value, and we're seeing everyone.
This board swap.
Yeah, complete board swap. We're moving over to some Star Guardians and some Sorcerers, my friends. And this is why I love watching people like Treebeard, is because it's like that intention, that decision making happens in a second, right? Whereas for me, I'd literally probably be selling units right now.
For like, ooh, maybe I should.
Yeah,
Have done
exactly,
that. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I get you, but Treebeard's on top of the game. He knows, okay, I want to pivot out of this right now. I have the units on the bench that I'm wanting to put in. I can make this transition now. It's on a neutral round, so I can get away with it. I can see run and delegate my items after, and really good decision making here by Treebeard.
I mean, and I think that is something that's something that Socks does so well, right?
Oh
Something
yeah.
that we harped on last week is so intentional about those transitions. He makes that choice, even if it might not be. He'll learn that later, right? But he's not going to let that determine his intent when it comes to these comps, and that seems to work out more often than not, like an 8 out of 10 type of situation for what my observation says. We are going to see some cybernetics, like you said here. Good items
Yeah.
too. We got the Last Whisper on Vayne, Bloodthirster on Lucian's, not awful. And like you said, cybernetics all about spreading those items around. So we might see this come to fruition a little later, but we could still transition if the units don't pop.
Yeah, definitely. Zero's here with the early cybernetics. Doesn't make that Zephyr, just spreads the items out, gives the Nautilus the belt, probably will sell later to put on some other cybernetic. But Zhao on the other end there, having QSS and Titan's Resolve already, so some mech items. I do think actually that mech is hurt pretty largely by Binary Star Galaxy, though. Not being able to have 2 tanky items plus that Hand of Justice on mech, I think a lot of people can agree that Hand of Justice is very, very, very good on mech currently. But Zhao losing some rounds now. It's already 55 HP, so needs to really hit that power spike, find that mech in order to even stabilize. But I'm hesitant in thinking that it's even going to be enough at all.
So basically, they've lost every single round so far, and they've lost every single round by a lot. As the ones ahead of him have probably lost a similar amount of games, but haven't been losing as much. So the resource of that HP to, sometimes you can nosedive and bring that plane right up and stabilize. That's the gunmate right there. Right now at 55 HP, even at just 3-2, that's a lot of HP missing. You can say it's for carousel priority, right? But at 55, that's really, really low.
Yeah, 18 HP below the next player there, so you don't need that much priority. It's not like you get to pick 2 items before they pick or anything like that. So, yeah.
And we're getting some Blaster 1v1s right now. The Bloodthirster actually almost doing everything that Zero needed, but we got Battlecast on the other side. We got Giant Slayer and Shiv. So who is going to be helping out with the Shiv in that comp from Doublezz?
Yeah, does he have full battle? Is he rerolling for 3 stars? I actually didn't see quite what was on his board / his bench. Yeah, let's take a look right here. It is looking like Doublezz is rolling for tier 3s. Shiv, Kog'Maw is really, really good with the Shiv, but slamming the Giant Slayer at that point, though, I'm a little curious as to why that is the case. Usually you want red buff on that Kog'Maw because it procs Battlecast quite frequently with all those blaster ticks and red buff ticks. Alawi having Ionic is good. I do, however, think that this is another comp that Binary Star kind of limits. I think having 3 items in that Kog'Maw is going to be a lot better. Having 3 tanky items in the Alawi is going to be a lot better, but only being limited to 2 here may end up hurting doubles in the future.
Yeah, we're actually looking at maybe a mech for Socks as well. Has the Rumble and Annie, just looking for the Fizz, and doesn't have the best items in the world for it. But, you know, something that you mentioned earlier was Hodge, and it was funny because you're like, Hodge is good on mech, and I was like, you know,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
kind of good on a lot of things right now.
Very
Have
true.
you done any like crazy? Because sometimes when you limit test, you just like Socks did last week with Blade Masters, you're like, who is this just going to be stupid on that no one's ever going to notice? I lost so hard to a Hodge Jace yesterday that I quit
True.
playing. Right? That it
I
was
agree
just like,
with this.
why does this work so well? You know what I mean? And anyone who can weave that physical and magic damage like Jace, Riven is someone else that could potentially find a little bit of value there. You can it's a valuable item, and while it might not be peak performance on some people, if that's the only components you have, you can slap it onto someone and get something out of it. It's not the worst case scenario. That item is on definitely the stronger side right now.
Oh, definitely. I wouldn't be surprised if it would see a slight nerf actually into the next patch. But for now, it is what it is. Very, very strong. Talking earlier about Sphinx and how if he's starting off strong early, it's going to be really good for him. He is still on 100 HP, only person in the lobby, and is on level 7, 50 gold on 3-5. This is about as good of a start as you can hope for in Teamfight Tactics, and Sphinx has it right now.
Yeah, Sphinx is doing exactly what Sphinx needs to do. And this is one of those comps that isn't super affected by that binary star, because Cass is one of those carries that only really needed those 2 items, but not the Ludens usually. So we're still looking for a blue buff. I see how Ludens is going to be good on Cass. It's a lot of casting, so it's going to be a lot of procs on that Ludens, but not having that Morello's it might hurt later on. Maybe beautiful Gnar ult. It might not matter in the end, but later on it's going to matter more so than now. He should be fine for now, but once we get into 4-4, you know, some of these later rounds, it's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, I mean, Sphinx did start the game off, I believe. He was the one who started the game off with the full item Ludens, so already had that made. I don't think that Sphinx will continue to pursue the Cassiopeia route going later on into the game. I think that he'll transition away, but he doesn't have to. It's possible that he could maintain that. I think there is some options now for Sphinx. Found the Jhin, playing the Jhin right now. Doesn't really have any Jhin items. Could maybe throw the Ludens on Teemo or something, but then again, you do need blue buff for Teemo as well. So might even just go the route of, let's even say Mech is a possibility, having Bramble, Declaw, some tanky items on that. There's really a lot of routes that Sphinx would go here. Could even just go Fast 9, find some legendaries as well.
So I'm actually really curious. So it's something in Binary Star is every item you put on becomes that much more valuable, right? Because you have less space. So what you're saying when you put a Ludens on is like, all right, I'm trying to make it through this early game, but I'm going to keep a slot on someone who is not going to use this item or isn't used to using this item in the late game. Is it worth it at that point for this early game advantage to fall off a little bit later with an item like Ludens?
Yeah, even if Sphinx had decided to actually like make the loot instead of getting it from the first carousel, I would think it would still probably be worth it, especially being on wolves and 100 HP. Like that's so worth it. It almost guarantees you a top 4 position as long as you're going to transition well or even like decently into the late game. You don't even have to transition like perfectly because you have that wiggle room. You are 100 HP. You've been making so much gold. Sphinx can probably go level 8 on 4-1 even and still have like 40 or 50 gold if he wanted to. So I would say that is super worth it.
Well, and it seems, I mean, he's sitting at 100 HP still. Impeeba sitting on a literal treasure trove of items. Really interesting choices, though, because he could make a couple very strong items. As the Swordbreaker, I believe, maybe from even that first carousel, or maybe was going blasters or something, and then transition later. We have Thieves' Loves, we have IE, we have Rabadon's Jeweled Gauntlet, and we're going to go ahead and put IE on the Darius along with the Jeweled Gauntlet. We're going a little space jammy right now.
I love it.
Get your jammies on, guys. It's a slumber party here.
Oh man, I wouldn't expect anything less from Impeeba, to be completely honest. Look at these Darius crits. As soon as he's going to actually cast his ulti, boom, there you go, 2200.
Oh
Yeah,
man, but when he does not
not good
crit,
enough, but
it is not.
well, he always crits. It's just if they're
Yeah.
below half HP to get that extra damage or not. But 1100 damage baseline every time Darius casts his ulti. I thought that round was going to go a lot more poorly for Impeeba there, but ends up cleaning up a lot of units there. Was up against Ares, but with the Infiltrator Aurelia, so that's going to be pretty good in terms of going cybernetics in the future. Treebeard going these Star Guardians. I think it's a comp that he's been pretty familiar with recently, and he's making it work decently well. 64 HP, but is on a couple of loss streak though.
Yeah, could have gotten a blue buff on the Syndra, but decided to use the Shojins instead. Probably pop that on pretty early. So the Soraka is going to ult a little bit earlier. And the funny thing is about Star Guardians is we actually don't see a ton of it here on Fight Night Rising. It seems to something I see on ladder all the time, but we don't get it in like every lobby here on Fight Night Rising. So it's cool to see someone start out with it. The items are odd. Again, not perfect, but they should work out, especially after that first cast with Syndra. And with the Soraka ulting so early, we might get a little bit more value out of that Shojins. And it's all about one-shotting those units, which is going to be happening, especially once you get going, right? And those one-cost units aren't going to be around for much longer, but almost all of your damage is on that Syndra.
Yeah, but Sphinx is comp too difficult to deal with. He's indeed level 8, 50 gold. Treebeard's tier 1 Syndra could not do enough and doesn't roll the tier 2 here either. Does have the Nico, so he could make the Syndra 2 if he wanted, but we know Treebeard. We know he loves his late game compositions, his 5 costs, similar to Impeeba. So he's definitely going to be saving it for a later date.
Though we are starting to get really low on HP. I think what this means is Sphinx has been destroying his rounds, and then there's been a lot of rock, paper, scissors going on because we have 2 people under 40 HP at this point, which they're not going to make it to Kane most likely, and that's going to be a pretty early elimination. And it does seem like all of our vets are at the top, and all of our newbies are right now having a little bit of a hard time. As Treebeard gonna get smacked by that mech, and maybe 2 items is enough when everyone else also has 2 items. But I mean that mech, like you said though, that 3rd item is kind of what brings this from a top 4 to a potential win. And we'll see how long it goes for Zhao, who seems to finally been stabilizing with our friend in last place at 29 HP. That is not feeling good, especially at this particular carousel.
Yeah, I think that Treebeard is a bit weak right now. Maybe is why Xiao was able to get a win. Xiao did roll down a lot of gold as well. Was down to 20 gold on level 7. So definitely just wanted to stabilize there. But we see another mech player and MismatchedSocks right here, who is level 8 and has more HP, has a Gangplank, so he's doing fairly well right now. Even has a Nico on the bench as well. So I think that Aurelion Soul is probably holding items for Victor. Because Victor is what you're going to want with this composition, but he might not even go for it in general. We'll see.
Oh man, he's given a nice little mouse rub to our units right now. It's like Nintendogs, but for our units, you know what I mean? But blue buff on Acel, that's not something you see every day. Which means
that's
that
kind of
those
why. Yeah, I think that might be just an item holder. It's not bad though.
Yeah, you probably got the 1% and was like, okay, cool, let's just put it in real quick. And the Morello's is amazing on the Acel. So for as confusing as the blue buff can be, the Morello will apply that grievous wounds to almost every single person, and it's probably going to do a good amount of damage because no one's going to be focusing Acel because they're focusing the mech.
Yep. Focusing the mech, and the mech is tanking all of it. Impeeba's comp is a little bit weak right now, but still, the Soraka to heal up the mech a little bit. Mech getting the ultimate off. GP getting ultimate off as well. Did about as much damage as the mech did. Gangplank, very good unit right now. Personally, I think Gangplank didn't even need a buff, but he got one, and here he is.
I know, here he is, folks. There's just like in every patch, there's like usually one thing where it's like, I see what you're doing. Right, we're gonna see some Gangplank, and I think you're right. Basically, if the Gangplank ulted, you got value out of it, and it was up to the player, I feel like, to make sure that Gangplank ulted. But now it's gonna be a little bit more consistent, as we're over at Zero now, who is our friend in last place, is going Cybernetics, and this was a comp that was supposed to be potentially one that can be really good here on Binary. Why are we seeing a little bit of a struggle here? Oh, it's
Well,
Vayne 1, that's why.
yeah, Vayne 1, Lucian 2, I think a BT slam is not really, well, maybe it wasn't a BT slam, maybe Zero started the game with the BT off the first carousel, I didn't quite see, but not being level 8 right now, not having a Vayne 2, not having a carry to really do anything, I mean, I think that kind of speaks for itself right there. Going to be taking a lot of damage from Impeeba as well, dropping down to 6 HP. I mean, at least you survive until Raptors, but how do you recover from here if you're Zeros? You have to go to level 8 and you have to hit like at least one Vayne, at least one Irelia, if not like 3.
Yeah,
Gonna be rough.
basically a lot of money must be spent
Yeah.
on this next round, and honestly, I'd be happy with some gold here, even with some of these infiltrators, just to try to get everything I need to try to compete a little bit more. Because the unfortunate thing is when you're sitting at 6 HP, especially when there's still 8 people left in the lobby, you could just get a bad draw and draw your counter,
Yeah.
right? And then you're just eliminated. And all this work, all of this wonderful play, he could do everything right on this next, on this roll down, but then lose anyway.
Yeah.
As we get items that could be better. At least you could slam a giant slayer, I guess, on the Vayne. If you want to go ahead and risk a Bard, I guess you could do that too. Don't do that. But we need to find Vayne. Definitely level up, and we have 20 gold to find everything we need.
Yeah, I was gonna say whatever Zeros decides to do, needs to do it fast. Does level up here, is rolling down, but the gold is diminishing. There's a Thresh, which is decent. Okay, there's an
There's
Irelia. Gotta sell some of this board, though. Besides sell a Wukong, I don't think Vi needs to go in. No, it doesn't even get it in time. I mean, I think that right there is just really telling of the inexperience of Zeros right there. Had all the cybernetics, but kind of hesitated in putting the Vayne in, realizing he already had the Vayne in, and then putting the Vi in, but it was too late. And I think that mistake there is going to end up costing Zeros the game and going 8th in game number 1.
Unable to actually see his come to fruition, right? Was unable to do it at Sphinx, still at 100 HP. I don't remember last time someone has been at 100 HP this late in the game.
100 HP, yeah.
Yeah, so he's got a top
even.
4, maybe even a top 2 locked at this point. And now, like, we can start talking. All right, Sphinx. The lobby does seem to be kind of weak right now, which is really great for like a Mystic player, right? But we've also transitioned over to a smattering of different things. We got the Dark Star, we got the Astros now too. We did finally put that Ludens on the Teemo, and with that transition and a little bit of Bard magic as well, winning with Bard, he's feeling mighty fine already with the Soraka 2 at level 9. Doesn't even need the Bard.
Yeah, I was gonna say that Bard magic, but level 9, so those meeps are really just for moral support at this point. I was talking about the transitions that Sphinx could go earlier on, and I mentioned the fact that Snipers was one of them. I didn't think he actually would lean towards going it, but I ended up being wrong. He did indeed go that route, even without the blue buff on the Teemo, but has Giant Slayer, Runeans in the Jhin right now, which is good enough. I don't know if, say, maybe starting stage number 6, if he'll still remain to be winning, because these items like aren't that great if we're looking at them objectively for this comp, but they're also not bad either. I just think that if Sphinx is going to win this game, it's definitely not going to be 100 HP. He's going to take some losses at some point.
Yeah, and this is the type of comp that will start taking losses and then only lose for the rest of the way. It's pretty crazy, like the way that TFT works is you can win 6 games in a row, then all of a sudden you actually saw that last round, I believe it was against Treebeard, how close that got, right? Where we saw Sphinx killing people by 5 units earlier. Now it was just 1 unit, and I can assume that it might be the same thing here, but actually really nice Zephyr on that Nico means that it's going to be a little while before the AoE damage comes through. Maybe the ult's not even going to happen for that Nico, so Thieves Glove's not really helping out. This Jhin, though, is going to get eaten. That's a big deal against Sphinx. Will the Soraka and this Urgot be enough to take him down? Nar is a very good unit right now, but the good thing for Sphinx is Nar has himself a Bramble Vest on the other way, but man, this Urgot is hungry.
Oh, the Gnar. Okay, finally the Gnar was able to take down the Urgot. I thought after the Soraka heal came down that was going to be it, and people was going to defeat the win streak of Sphinx, but it was not the case there. Urgot too, man. He was hungry.
hungry Urgots for
Yeah.
sure. That's like me at a Las Vegas buffet. Man, if I'm spending $50 at a buffet, I'm eating $50 worth of food. I
You
do
best
not care
believe,
what
yeah.
happens after, but man, if you ever see me at a buffet, you'll probably not see me again because it's not a sight that I am proud of. But Impeeba, having a good time. This is the best thing about, like, honestly, this is one of my favorite things about Impeeba. Whenever he's here, he just looks like he's having so much fun too, and he interacts with his Twitch chat really well. We kind of share the glasses look, and we also share very similar seating styles. I noticed that he is a knee propped up on the table preference, which my feet are never on the ground. So we'll see. Damn it. We'll see how that works. But I know Impeeba is sitting at 16 HP, feet probably planted firmly on the ground, especially with this Urgot. He's feeling good.
Something also, last round Doublezz is eliminated actually, unfortunately, so not a consistent day here for Doublezz, at least for game number 1. Hopefully he can bring it back soon, but we're seeing Zhao versus Impeeba. Potentially someone could fall this round as well. Urgot not eating the mech at least yet. Might actually fall to this mech. No, the mech turns and hits the Nico, but the Trap Claw blocks that damage. The QSS prevents the stun. Nico now stunning the mech as QSS is over with. Urgot trying to eat the Victor, but not able to do so in time. Does barely survive, though, on 2 HP. Treebeard not being so lucky, however, does fall in 6th, I believe. Yeah, Treebeard. I thought he was going to at least top 4 for game number 1, but it turns out it was not in his favor.
Well, and it makes complete sense. I mean, based off of what we said earlier today, that Impeeba and Treebeard are actually right next to each other in that leaderboard. Similar play styles might equal similar results. So that does seem to ring true. Sphinx does lose out on that win streak and lost quite handily at that. Now at 84 HP. We're looking at Socks one more time. And he's on fire right now. He's got a mech too. We got a couple mech players for binary. And the one thing that I love seeing is that Shojin's on that Karma, one of the most underrated ultimates, but huge ultimate from that Fizz as well. But this still could go either way right now. That mech is still alive, but the Urgot is still hungry. Impeeba looks like he's going to pull this out. Those pilots have no chance.
The mech, man. What actually decided that round was the Urgot eating the Gangplank before Gangplank ulted. Sox' Gangplank is what carries 2 items, especially having Ludens and Death Cap. That's so much damage with the GP there, but Urgot, man, the counter.
I've always thought that it would be really cool in the game to have a unit that takes up 2 spaces, and how that would like affect thing. And I think Urgot is perfect for that more. So I don't know how you would code that. I'm sure it would be like make a whole new game. But
I don't know. I think if you were going to do that, Cho'Gath could be one after he like eats a certain amount of units.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Game, he grows larger and larger, takes up more space.
I have 2 other ideas here. Are you ready for this? Number 1, next set I think might be like a Targon thing, right? So it might be light and dark. So it might be cool to have people like combine in sun and shadow on one spot or something. And then the other really good idea I think I had was Xayah and Rakan. You could actually link units together and they function as one unit, and maybe their ultimates interact like kind of like a DBZ.
Interesting.
Yeah, what am I? I'm thinking of the word the fusion.
Yeah.
DBZ fusion.
Kind of reminds me of the Lucian Senna Soulbound.
Yeah, exactly, but
sort
better.
of mode functionality there. Yeah, better. Impeeba, though, with this massive Urgot, doesn't take up 2 spaces, but will it take up enough space to win this round versus Ares?
The Hextech is actually... the Hextech is a super cool idea here, because when he does finish that eat, not only is he going to overheal, he's going to get that shield as well, which pretty much guarantees kind of like a machine gun Urgot. When was the last time you saw a straight line fight like this, by the way?
Yeah, not very much, that's for sure. Is this Urgot able to 1v9 though? Xin Shao's going to die soon. The enemy Urgot might... No, okay, he's eating that before it gets a chance to.
Yo, Hextech on Urgot. That is something you got to try. I mean, It's that overheal, and even through the Grievous, because you're getting the double heal with that ult. It's so good.
Yeah.
That was something that I'm definitely going to bring a little while later to my own games. As Impeeba survives to the top 4, Sphinx still in first place, 50 HP ahead of second place.
Oh yeah, the HP differential is so insane here. Zhao unfortunately does get eliminated in 5th place, and all of a sudden we have our top 4 with Impeeba barely managing to scrape in there on 2 HP for a little bit now. Arestidios as well, 8 HP. So one of our new players getting to top 4 for game number 1. Looking pretty good for them here.
Oh, for sure. I love seeing that. And that's so good for them moving forward because there's a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, if I were to come into this game, I'd be like, I'm just a lonely little TFT player. Like, I watch you guys, I don't compete against you guys. And to find that kind of result really early on, it can set you up for the rest of the day. And we've seen that work for a couple people already, as we're going to really see this Hextech gun played. Oh, but the crit!
The 4th shot.
Oh man, that 4th shot. The Hextech gunblade
confused there.
was such a good idea in the end. It does, I think, bring him a 4th place. But we're in a top 3 right now that Jhin ends up taking him down.
Yep. Unfortunate there. If it was actually like even 0.5 seconds faster for the Urgot to get that eat out, would have killed the Jhin, then would have killed the Aurelion Sol right after, I believe. But fortunately for people, that was not the case. Goes out in 4th. We have our top 3. MismatchedSocks rolling down about 50 gold that round and finds some stuff. Is it enough, though, going up against the Sphinx clone?
Nice effort. I wonder. I was about to say, who's Presh going to bring in? The answer is just 1 ASOL, but is that going to be enough? That mothership is doing a good amount of damage, but I mean, the thing about Sphinx's comp is it's pretty beefy. It might not look that beefy, but with the Soraka, with the Mystics, it's pretty good, as they lose to the Ghost here, as MismatchedSocks will finish in 3rd. Sphinx's did lose on that last round, though, so I wonder if this might be the end for Sphinx. I don't. Man, this could actually be super close, as they both went for the same champ, but
that Aurelion Sol, yeah.
Race.
Unfortunately for Sphinx there, but does have a lot of HP to work with. Let's see how this goes. Has 4 Mystics in, but Arestidios, I want to say Ares had Cybernetics, unless I'm thinking about somebody else.
I think you were thinking of our last place friend.
Oh, maybe I was.
Who couldn't find the vein.
That is very, very true. Sphinx does choose to take the Mystics out, though, so deciding that they are not worth it. Puts Giant Slayer on the Teemo. Oh no, there were Cybernetics here too, actually.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay. I wasn't crazy.
Yeah. We got the double Giant Slayer on this vein, though, and I mean, you already saw the benefit of the tumble there, as the Gnar does not aggress upon that vein. This Echo doesn't actually do a ton of damage, and the vein in the back line is low. I mean, it's possible for Sphinx to pull this out, but slowly but surely he is losing his health. But that last Soraka ultimate is going to, I think, bring him the win here. Yep. Sphinx wins the lobby, and good old Sphinx boy, man, is killing it right now. That honestly was one of the cleanest lobbies I've ever seen Sphinx play, and that makes me really happy for his potential performance tomorrow.
Yeah, that curse for you casting Sphinx is not there. Sphinx played that game, I think, some of the best TFT I've ever seen. Like you said, that was clean as heck. Like, Sphinx 10 points, starting off the day right. Arestidios as well, one of our new players, placing above MismatchedSocks, getting that second, 8 points. MismatchedSocks in 3rd, Impeeba scraping in that 4th place, and then we got our bottom 4 there, but we still have 3 more games to go, so it is still anybody's game here tonight.
Yeah, and another lobby with a variety of team comps, right? We got, snipers, we got mystics, we got vanguards there, we had star guardians, a ton of different things. And sometimes when it comes to this meta, it's just kind of like, what lobby are you in is kind of what meta you're playing, right? So what if this lobby is super cyber heavy? Well, then you're going to play things a little bit differently, right? So I don't know. I'd love to hear your feedback on that. When a meta is so diverse, what does that mean in terms of like that competitive edge that you might have as someone going into a tournament and having a plan versus someone who's going to be a little bit more open?
I think in a meta like this that is so diverse, being able to be flexible is going to lead to the best chance of victory. Being able to play the game with processing all the information in game. Say like, I don't know, you get a start for either cybernetics or brawler blasters, and you see other people, I don't even know. Let's say they're going Astro Snipers or something, and you're like, oh, Astro Snipers might beat my cybernetics, so I want to go the Jinx route instead because Jinx pops off and I'll win. It's just evaluating all of those small decisions and what comp is going to be good against what these people like running, what I find in my units, what the lobby is going. Because in a meta where it's like 2 or 3 comps are good, you're going to know what the majority of comp or what the majority of the lobby is going to go. So it's a lot more like clear cut there. But
Oh,
being
that's
more
so true.
flexible is going to, yeah, you're going to be able to adapt to not only what's good for the meta, but what is good for that specific lobby because it's going to be different.
And I think that I think is why I've been enjoying competitive TFT over the last couple weeks is super dense. And so sorry, I just get so surprised when I get a galaxy, and it's been 100% today. So maybe all
Yeah.
my curses are broken. That would be great. So maybe I can be happy tomorrow. I'm just kidding. I'm happy. I'm a happy person. But what I'm saying though is like when you go into these lobbies and you don't know what to expect, right? And you really don't know how the lobby is going to go until like that first or second carousel, right? It's
Yeah.
the beginning of the game has become very fluid, which I really, really like so far.
Definitely. I agree 100%. Sphinx starting off the game with a Malphite tier here did end up going Astro Snipers towards the end of last game. Starting with a tier means that's going to be an option as well. Having that blue buff Teemo could go Star Guardians as well. You know, we saw that from Treebeard to not great success last game, but still a viable option. Gets a Rod as well. Gonna lean well into both of those compositions again. Sphinx does decide to pick up those early vanguards, as you did mention that Sphinx does like
Loves his
those.
vanguards, man. He
Yeah.
loves his vanguards, especially like just the. I feel like a lot of our players that we've seen, like EU, we saw a lot of protector starts. Here in NA, we see a lot of vanguard starts. I don't know if that's like
True.
because of the patches at the time, but it is something that I've noticed is NA players tend to favor the vanguard rebels start versus the protector starts of what was in Europe when we were casting. So when we were doing our little European editions for Fight Night Rising. So it's
Yeah.
really crazy how even small decisions like that per region are very different as a really great item in terms of being able to go a different kind of direction is here. Something that I've liked is something that you told me about, which was Static Shiv Ash last week, which I have I have demolished some people below third place
Oh, really?
with it so far. I mean, like the Ginzu's definitely helps that out, but we
Oh,
also have
yeah.
blue buff for doubles, and again. We have another Vanguard-y type of a start. It doesn't really matter what units are in here, but it's more about what items we're about to get and how that's going to interact and enable the champions that we're going to get a little bit later.
Yep. Let's see what item. There's a glove plus a rod there. So we have a sort of similar start to what we were talking about with Sphinx. Not just a moment ago. Blue buff could go on a Teemo, could go I don't know, let's say a Victor, could go on a Syndra. There are some options here, but that's kind of going back to what you were saying. This meta is so versatile, this meta is so flexible. Who knows? I don't know what Doublezzzz is gonna go, but we'll see. Probably gonna make that blue buff on the TF right now, throw a rod on as well. And yeah, it does just that. Being the item holder, I'm sure those items will go elsewhere later. But for now, this is a decent start. 2 Chrono, 2 Brawler.
Yeah, TF is a great starting unit. Has AoE damage, can pump out some damage with the right items. You tier 2 him early, plus the Chrono buff, which got better a couple patches ago, which I think is one of the buffs that people have started to appreciate a little bit more as Chrono Ash has kind of gotten a little popular on the ladder recently, especially like below Challenger. I don't know why I
Yeah.
would bring that up though. If it's like below Challenger, people have fun. I'm just kidding. But doubles is losing out here. We see a lot. We're actually seeing a
Yeah.
lot of Dariuses on the other side to start because we
Oh, yeah.
don't want to see Darius when Teemo is around. Because, like I like to
We
reiterate, when
saw
it comes
last
for
week.
Teemo, it's all about there's the language on Teemo that says grounded, right? They get knocked down, and so if Darius hits the mushrooms while he's ulting, it just doesn't connect and basically makes him a free unit.
Yep. We saw that in action last week. The VOD is over there on the Giant Slayer Esports YouTube. If you want to check that one out and see how Gunmei was very, very sad for some of his last competitive TFT games. But
Yep.
moving forward to today, yeah, that blue buff on that Teemo does some very, very mean things sometimes. Taking a look at Zeros here, some Blade Masters already leveled up to level 4.
So funny, because MismatchedSocks came into last week saying, I'm going to Blade Master every round, and like we said before, and probably will for the rest of Fight Night Rising time, sold a Gen 2. Like, and guys, this wasn't a Gen 2 at like 5-2. This was like a 3-4 Gen 2. Like,
yeah,
it was like
very early.
Yeah, it was really early. But I mean, he wanted to prove a point, and he ended up getting second that day, I think. So we'll mark it up
Yeah, I
to
think so.
yeah, still being a success, but not a lot of Blade Masters so far. Not a lot of Yi. Maybe players getting used to how to go against it. Maybe it's just the lobby. What do you think?
Sorry, I was checking the scores from last week. Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, I was basically like, why haven't we really seen that Blade Master? Yi doesn't seem to be as
Oh,
competitive.
yeah. I'm not sure. I think it might just be coincidence. I think the Yi comp is still good. It's just people and what their preferences and what they're playing, I suppose. I don't really see a reason why it would have fallen off too much. I think Yi can kill things that are good, like mech. It can tear through other compositions. I know Yi was a big counter to Vanguard Mystics, and we're not seeing that many Vanguard Mystics anymore. But we weren't even when Yi was popping up. Like we saw like a little bit, but not too much. Yi's definitely still a good unit, still a good comp with those Blade Masters.
All right. Oh yeah, I got screwed over early game by a Hodge Fiora. That was not fun.
Oh.
It's like I'm the guy who like I usually like troll on Summoner's Rift and stuff, and I like doing things like funnily. But like the one time I'm like, let me take it seriously, I get screwed over by like a Hodge Fiora, and I'm like, why? This is teaching me all of the wrong lessons, you know? And so
Yeah.
but it's a really strong item, and when Fiora gets that healing, and especially in the early game, could potentially mean the difference between winning or losing a round based on what item they're holding. As Zero spreading the love on those cybernetics, Treebeard sitting at 96 HP, which is exactly where he was at last time around.
Yeah.
Sphinx not as good as last time around, even though it's just 8 HP. He was at 100 HP until his second place was also at 54.
Yep.
Handily won that last lobby, but this is looking to be a little bit more competitive with 3 people still sitting at 100 and super dense. Once we get all of our fawns, things can really change.
That they can. Is Treebeard going cybernetics? He has an early vein, has a bow, has a sword, and just picked up a glove, so couldn't make IE or Last Whisper, depending on what he decides there. Did pre-level to level 5, finds the Caitlyn 2, finds a Lucian in the shop as well, buys it. I think Treebeard's maybe going cybernetics, which we don't usually see from him that often.
That makes me a little nervous, usually when a player does something like this, because it's either going to be, mega successful or not. And I know that's kind of like a forehead statement. Like, you either win or you lose. It's a game. That's kind of what happens for everybody. But
Yeah,
what I mean
you're
here
right.
is just like, in terms of when we see someone try something new or play something that they're not used to, we could see Fluffy with Battlecast winning a lobby, or we could also see someone get an 8th, right? It can be very polarizing. But cybernetics is one of those things that I feel like all TFT players should kind of know how to drive.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
So we'll see.
We'll see indeed. But I mean, Treebeard has a good start for it. Like lost a couple of rounds, and usually it's like, oh, lose streaking cybernetics, that's not gonna be good. But he only lost the first 2 rounds by 1 unit, won the last round, won this round as well, is on 10 gold, has the Caitlyn 2 for sniper buff, for that vein, has a couple of vanguards. Like this is a good start for Treebeard here, as long as he's able to propel this forward into the mid game. Hopefully keep the win streak going. Like Treebeard's in a really good spot.
Oh, totally. Do we pick up the Teemo?
I mean, there is a world where picking up Teemo is good here. You could get another tier and get blue buff for the Teemo, give that Last Whisper plus sword to Jhin later on. The thing is investing all of that gold into Teemo right now when you could just win this round, sell 1 Lucian and make 20. Gold is usually going to be way more appealing in that world.
Mm-hmm. it seems to ring true most of the time that if you're really struggling with a decision, gold is usually a good option, but you can also get trapped into not making any decisions, right? We've seen that happen. We already saw it happen today with Zero not putting all of his cybernetics in.
Yep.
So, I mean, we've already seen the impact of that kind of I'm driving a comp that I potentially might not know that well, and those are the types of mistakes that Treebeard might be making because this is not a comp we're usually seeing from him. Usually plays, roles pretty aggressively, and Cybernetics is not that kind of comp. So I'm really excited to see what he's able to flex. His Mismatched
Oh,
is
like
in
what we
first
see
place.
here. Like what we see here, MismatchedSocks in first place, but not only is he in first, but he has a certain item, RFC, that he has already slammed. Maybe Socks is going to go back to those Blade Masters that Master Yi, and I'd be willing to bet that that is going to be the case.
I love it. I hope he does. It's just one of
Oh,
those really great flexes that you could use. Is a couple gold as well as a Nico's.
oh,
2 Nicos.
goes.
It's
Oh, man.
Nicoverse, but just for Socks.
Yeah, Nico verse as
Oh,
well.
if this was
That's
Treebeard or
super
Impeeba,
dense.
you know that Bard would get picked up in double Nicos, right?
Oh, okay. Maybe not double Nico's at this point. On 3-1. I think that would be a fast 9, find an Urgot, double Nico's that, or like high roll 1% on level 7. Double Nico's that. But they would probably consider it, to be honest.
I love chaos, Khroen. I don't know if you've noticed, because it's what's happening in my brain at all times.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2
Oh,
Nicos though. What would you use in this situation? Would you just wait? Would you
wow.
play it like Nicoverse from here on out?
So, looking at it from the perspective of Socks here, in that he would want to go Blade Masters, I would wait, roll down, hit some 3 stars, whichever ones that you don't hit, you just Nikos those at the end. But Socks did a very interesting thing and slammed a Chalice instead of waiting for a Runans. So I'm even questioning if Socks is going to go Blade Masters at all with that, because the priority items that you want for Blade Masters with Master Yi carry is going to be RFC, and then Runans, and then either Deathcap or Jeweled Gauntlet. But is he even going to go that route anymore? I don't know.
Well, he slammed the Chalice of Power and has a lot of good ability power items. I mean, this is a pretty stacked Twisted Fate, and at 100 HP, you would assume that like, all right, he's killing it, he's got a plan. But I think the hard part here is, does he have a plan? Right now, it's just 4 brawlers and a couple snipers.
Yeah,
So like
I
again,
mean,
there's so many ways we could go, and I think that's what separates like the great and the good players.
definitely. He has a plan. I'm just not sure exactly what it is right now. Like maybe he still goes the route of Blade Masters, but just says, "Hey, I don't care about the Runans as much. I just want to preserve my win streak so I can maintain my lead that way and not have to, use those Nikos early, but be able to save them later." Will the win streak continue? It's not going to. The Lucian was able to dodge all of those Twisted Fate cards besides the first one, but that's all he needed to dodge.
That item setup that that Lucian had too, which is the 2% health of Giant Slayer red buff with Hodge, was something that was destroying people last week. And I can't believe this is the first time we've seen that version of the blasters. It destroyed people for 90% of the game and then kind of jumped off the cliff at the end.
Yeah.
But is something that on Jinx could definitely get you a lobby win. We haven't really seen a ton of Rebels so far.
Yeah,
So
I'm kind of surprised, actually. It's
yeah,
very, very good comp.
Jinx got buffed right last
Yeah,
time
Jinx got
around.
buffed, TP
So
got buffed, Rebels got
exactly.
buffed. Like, it's such a strong comp that I see a lot of people preparing for Worlds running that comp, because they know it's going to net some wins. People may just didn't get the good starts for it this time around, the last couple of games.
Yeah.
Not too sure, but
I mean, that's coming from like a month and a half ago, where I think at least 50% of the last 4 would be running that comp,
oh
right?
yeah.
And that's just the effective nerfs to Jinx and how much weaker she got when they gutted her and her attack speed that one time. As Sphinx Boy is going to lose to Doublezzzz, who's running that double cast. That's pretty scary, actually, especially this early in the game in terms of the battle cast buff. The cast gets
Mhm.
so much value out of it. But after this, though, this is where things are going to get pretty gnarly. We're going to get our Fawns here very soon. We got a couple really good units as Double's going to get that Jinx with the Chain Vest. That might become a red buff on that Jinx. We'll see how else his comp is going to look. But things are about to get spicy, Khroen.
Yeah, I was curious if Doublezz would be tempted by that Cassiopeia, would make a Cassiopeia 2 and be halfway to an RFC, which is an item that is good for Cassiopeia carry, but Doublezz picking up that Jinx instead. I believe he had a bow and a glove, so can't make red buff right now, but could in the future as well. Maybe that's a pivot that Doublezz is looking for.
And you can pivot at a variety of places in the game right now. We've seen some really late, we see some really early. I mean, earlier we saw Treebeard at Terra Bursters sell his entire board, right? And put in Star Guardians, and that did not quite work out for him. But I like that he made a choice, you know? It's
Yeah.
I'd rather someone 100% in on a fail effort rather than 50% on a success, you know?
Yeah. All right, I see what it is now. It's mech. Doublezz is going for mech. Of course, Slaying that Titan's Resolve there. Has Cassiopeia holding Victor items. It definitely is going to be the route there. He should pick up the Ziggs, so he has Demolitionist for the mech later on. See if he
And
does that or not.
these aren't awful items on Jarvan either, especially
Yeah,
with some protector buffs.
decent item holder.
Yeah, he's halfway there. But the Zadarius trying to pop some pimples there on the field. Only gets one, but if he's able to ult again,
Ooh.
he needed to get that ult. If he ults again, things might have ended a little bit differently. But Impeeba will fall. Doublezz will continue to right the ship to win streak now, over 50 gold, actually in a pretty good place.
Yeah, Treebeard's still losing though. Only lost that round by 1 unit, but still slowly bleeding out there. As we check out Treebeard, he is going cybernetics, but that term I mentioned before, lose streak cybers, he is doing just that right now, and that makes me scared for the future of Treebeard in this game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. His chat saying good loss. I wonder if the last 5 have been that good. I mean, we're losing a lot of HP, and so we have to get to our Echo, we have to get to our Irelia, or else this doesn't really work. We don't have the best items on the Vayne just yet. We have the good components. All we need is a glove, and we're good.
Yeah. I would even hesitate to, or hesitantly say that spat could be used for Blade Master Vayne in the future, or Infiltrator Irelia. Obviously, Infiltrator Irelia is what people do look for when they go cybers. But man, I wonder if there is a world where he does go Blade Master Vayne. There's another good loss here for Treebeard, only losing by 2 units. I mean, not the end of the world. And you have that 6 loss streak going into neutrals.
Yeah, I mean, to have a 6 loss streak and actually be at 51 is not, when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, could be a lot worse. I.e., last time I think we had someone at like 35 HP at this point. So we are feeling okay if we're Treebeard, but we're getting to a point where things are going to start feeling a little not okay in the next like 2 to 3 rounds if we don't hit our Vayne. It seems like Vayne 2 just doesn't exist in this game anymore or something.
Yeah, right.
But
between last game and this game, just
yeah,
Vayne 2,
man.
so
Yeah, the
hard to
Vayne
hit
2
it,
just not there. Oh, does get the glove though.
Yeah, it gets 2
swords.
Okay.
I know, right? Ooh.
Treebeard. I'm very curious to see what Treebeard does
during
this round, because it could be Deathblade IE. It could be Blade Master Spat and IE as well. I wonder. Does Treebeard keep rolling here to try to find the Irelia?
I think you got to try to find the Irelia.
Yeah.
It's
doing that.
It's the nitty gritty right now. The only reason why we go to 7 is to find the Irelia, you know? So
stops rolling.
All right.
He wants to be on 20 gold. What do you do here? Is it do you commit? Okay, it's Deathblade. Really wants the Infiltrator Irelia. And Deathblade's still good on the Vayne for this.
Yeah, Infiltrator Irelia is just so good, totally worth it. But he was trying to roll for it, and look at how much stronger this Vayne is right now, just by finishing that IE with that Deathblade. I mean, still level 1, so it's not like even at its full power or full potential just yet. This is Cell before he's eaten the androids, you know? So we've got Treebeard starting to power up. And this Vayne, once that becomes Vayne 2, I'm not quite sure it exists in this game anymore. But we shall see, as we are also back to MismatchedSocks.
Yep.
And it's
there we go.
Chrono Brawler right now. And we are getting finally to our Blade Masters. This is a late game transition.
Yeah, and the transition is still at a good point though here. MismatchedSocks is still on 79 HP. I said it last week, I think. I say it all the time. MismatchedSocks is so good at playing a strong early game to get him to the point where he's at right now. And, you know, hits the Yi 2, even has a couple other Yis, is second place in the lobby. Like he's chilling right now. He's in a
Yeah,
good
I
spot.
mean, that Rabadon's, you might say, wait, he does attack damage. No, 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 my friends. That true damage definitely gets helped out, but the Yeet gets absolutely destroyed here against
Yeah.
Zhao's side as we get another kind of like percent health Hodge blaster there with the Kog'Maw.
Yeah. So actually sitting at the top of the lobby here. That is pretty good. Checking in with Peeba really quick on the Peeba round, as it used to be called, 4-3. But isn't rolling down to 0 here and also isn't on, 20 HP. So not quite the Peeba round of old.
So
Still in a
this is
decent spot though.
yeah, this is my sitting position. This is my go-to. I gotta be. you got if you got to put the the head on the leg sometimes if you're like really feeling it. But no, Piva is got some very interesting items. We got Rage Blade, Frozen Heart on Zed, which I'm kind of in love with. I love Frozen Heart in general as an item against someone like Jinx. It absolutely destroys a level 1 Jinx.
Oh yeah.
But you got to keep them alive because you got to try to continue stealing that attack damage. And the Vayne just too strong right now. Does find the level 2 Vayne. It's that rule, dude. If we're watching, it doesn't happen, right? But
I
once we
guess
leave, they
so.
get it. I told you, it's a thing.
It really seems to be the case. It's happened a couple of games now. Going into the stage 4 carousel here. What direction's people looking to go? I'm kind of surprised he didn't play the Urgot last round. That Rage Blade probably going to want to go on a Xerath. And he sees one on this carousel and picks it up. So yeah, I think that Peeba will start making a lot of transitions right now. Or if not right now, then after Raptors, the very latest. He is towards the bottom of this lobby, 41 HP, but isn't quite in that lethal range yet to really be worried.
Yeah, and just to kind of keep tabs on Treebeard on that Cybernetics has not lost since the item round. So obviously
Sure.
made some good choices there, stabilized in the Irelia. I'm sure will come soon as we get, I think, as close to a blender comp as we can. In this
Oh
meta right
my.
now,
Just
as
hit, Peeba.
Got 2. Holy, at 4-5, that is early, my friends.
Hey, if you want to find your units, just hit. That's that easy.
It's that easy, right? Just do it for it. Oh
Like,
man, I wish it was that easy, dude.
oh, Peeba
Like,
actually sold the Xerath. Interesting, but yeah.
it's just one of those things where I think that energy really comes, and if the people who are good at the game, I used to feel this way. I have a buddy Bo, who is amazing at Hearthstone because he's just lucky. I think so. Sometimes those people exist here. As Urgot's gonna
Oh man.
eat the carry. That is a feels bad. Pulled that Victor, and that mech ended up ulting, I think, at around the same time and destroyed Peeba's comp.
Yeah, doubles. Only level 7, 10 gold, but rolled and hit. And his mech is looking pretty scary right there. He is definitely stabilized. Looking over to Zeros here. Cybernetics, blue buff plus BT on that Irelia. Definitely wants to win this round to be able to win streak into neutrals. How
Tier 1
far?
Vayne, by the way.
Yeah, tier 1 Vayne, tier 1 Echo, tier 1 Irelia, tier 1 everything, actually. How far is Zeros willing to roll here?
He's running out of time. Gotta stop at
Yeah,
10.
I mean, continue rolling into that round. MismatchedSocks, Yi3. He was at 5 Yis. Now he's all of a sudden found 4 more. QSS as well. No Runans,
Ooh,
though, so it's not doing enough.
wow. Yi 3 struggling that hard, Khroen. I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
Runans
Is it
do.
just yeah, is that it really?
Honestly, I think so. If that was Renan's Yi, that comp would have been cleaned up. I think Renan's is a very important item on the Yi in this current build. I think that opting out of that route there and slamming that Chalice was better for Socks at the moment, but is going to hurt him in the long run. I firmly believe that.
All right, we'll see if Zero is going to be able to back up some of these choices. The blue buff on the Irelia is a really great way for her to get into that back line, but it's also a really great way to get trapped in the back line as well as no crits, no good kind of burst damage coming from her. It's going to be all that raw attack damage, but that initial cast should be a good choice for them as we do get a Last Whisper. As
Okay.
an item, and we're
Yeah.
gonna upgrade our Irelia. That's a pretty big deal. Nico's the Echo. That's a great idea as well. very interesting with the ZZ Rot, deciding to complete
Huh.
some items rather than complete some carries.
Yeah, I mean, not a bad idea there, I think, because you have Force of Nature being super dense, so you already have one extra item to give over to the Vi there. Finds the Thresh as well. Xerospl is in a very interesting spot. I was thinking that he was going to roll until he hits either the Vayne or the Echo and then try to use Nico at that point, but decided to Nico now in order to just econ up to level 9. Going up
I
against
don't know if
Peeba
you
here.
saw that Piba had a bard. Put it in a new bard.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. And
Of
I mean,
course.
it's all about this Urgot for Piba, and he's the type of player that would be happy to put everything into one unit, as he does end up eat. Oh no,
Ooh,
that
wow.
was pretty close.
It was.
That was a
Wow,
little bit of a
barely.
clincher. But but Piba is going to be just fine as Sphinx, showing some
Ooh.
consistency here. Love to see this from Sphinx, as he man, we've been killing it so far. Remember, with all these players, we've kind of called a lot of the stuff where, Sphinx likes Vanguards and Mech, and we're here with, I believe, another Mech for Sphinx.
Yep. Double Titan's Resolve. That is scary. Once that stacks up and the mech gets an ultimate off, it's going to kill pretty much anything that's around it. I am scared for the Irelia that's going to jump right onto this mech.
All
It
right, gets a
gets
pretty early ult
yeah,
off. Is
another
almost
one.
there. Is not going
Ooh.
to get to the 50 potentially. Oh, actually, the GA saves the mech from the GP ult?
Ooh, this BT though. Okay,
This
it's not
BT?
enough. The BT
No,
that really was healing.
the
I thought it
BT. I
might
know.
have actually like, okay, actually, if the target priority there on the Aurelia was to reset off of the Fizz and then reset off of the Annie and then kill the Rumble, it could have actually been a win for that Aurelia, to be honest. But decided to hit the Rumble
Sure.
first, didn't get the reset.
And
RNG.
Sphinx is now on fire.
Yeah, 4 win streak. 42 HP, Doublezz. Unfortunately, gets eliminated that round. 8th place. Came into today being like, is this going to be a popping off day for Doublezz or one of those mediocre to bottom of the pack days? And unfortunately, it seems though it is one of those bottom of the pack days for Doublezz. 8th place after a 7th. So,
All right. This is going to be a
oh,
big battle now as we're facing the top of the lobby. Zhao has developed quite the lead, but this mech is going to have a much easier time with this team in terms of getting to 50 stacks. Maybe I
I
spoke
mean,
a little too soon. Actually
it
dies at
got
around
Zephyred.
yeah, the same amount of stacks, and this Rumble's not really going to be doing it much more. Might be able to pick off a unit or two, but does
Nope.
not, as Sphinx loses his win streak, and Zhao's going to continue his domination at the top so far. This is not something we usually see in Fight Night. It's either like a top 4, bottom 4, but so far the last 2 lobbies has been one person at the top, super strong, as there's a Mastery with the Hodge right there. Um,
Yes, there is.
but there's also, but the rest of the lobby is actually super close.
Mm-hmm. Definitely is very close. Peeba unfortunately did last round get eliminated in 7th place here, so wasn't able to scrape in another top 4. Unfortunately, that first to 8th is going towards the 8th.
Oh man, we're having fun. So the Treebeard is now looking for another Echo, which is going to be hard because we saw someone else use that Nico's on their Echo a
Yep.
little while ago. So there's just not as many into the pool, and he has to decide whether the cloak or the blue buff is going to be better, and it's going to be blue buff 9 out
Oh
of
yeah.
10 times. But we really want to have the opportunity to try to get that Thresh in there to pull in some units. Seems like that's where we're going. We do have 2 tier 2 veins now, so they are in the game. They might have live patched it during Fight Night Rising, as the Blitzcrank is going to fool that Leona. This is actually really, really good news for Treebeard, especially with that Infiltrator Irelia in the back line, though. We have
Oh.
the upgraded Gangplank ult, though, that's going to just look at Treebeard. That is a pouty bottom lip opportunity if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, Cheever going to 10 HP. 1 hit from dying. Needs to roll down and find some of these upgrades as Zeros hangs on there. The lobby is pretty close with places 3 through 6 right now. 19 HP down to 9. Treebeard rolls it down, doesn't hit, sells the Thresh even first before selling anything else. Is he going to choose to sell? Oh, sells the Vi actually for the tier 1 Vi. Finds Irelia 2, but doesn't have the gold to purchase it without selling anything. So does, in fact, sell one of those veins. The vein 3 dream is looking a little bit more dead than it was a couple seconds ago.
It's dead. It's dead now.
Yeah.
There's no waking up for Vein 3. As we get our Master Yi in the back line, and even though Echo is going to focus that Yi in the back line, does absolutely no damage to it in the end, and this Cyber Comp is going to be a rough go of it and is going to go down and will be eliminated in 5th place this time.
Yep.
And we have a top 4.
All of a sudden, there it is. We had Xeros getting eliminated in 6th, Treebeard in 5th, Sphinx getting another top 4 finish. Not looking like a first here, probably, but still, that's consistency.
That's really good for Sphinx. I really want to reiterate that in terms of his kind of performance. Like, he, in my opinion, is like, especially when I've cast him, is a professional at getting 5th place, which has got to be like worse than getting 8th at times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now to see consistent top 4s, even though it's just been 2 lobbies, I'm really proud of him. And he's doing a good old job prepping for tomorrow. Treebeard, though, having a little bit of a hard time today. Maybe he could get his bad games out today. So tomorrow's going to be a little bit better for him at the qualifiers. But, you know, we've also got a new player at the top and 2 in the top 3. So we've got like a 50-50 split with MismatchedSocks and Sphinx, who are, you know, fight night regulars versus 2 people who, you know, are kind of breaking on right now. And this is exactly what we want to see. We kind of want to see that 50-50 split and see who's next.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I definitely do. I was hesitant that we would see that, but we are right now, and I'm happy that that is the case. Zhao on a win streak, 73 HP, in a really dominant spot to win this lobby, even potentially. But first, we will check out MismatchedSocks versus Arestidios here with that mech and that Victor in the back. The Victor gets taken out, and the mech gets taken out by the E. Pretty sure this is a Sox win here by far.
This could actually be an elimination as well, depending on how much
It
damage goes
is.
on. And it is an elimination. We're going to be down to at least 3, probably 2. Yeah, there we
Yep.
go. As Sphinx also gets eliminated. So this is also really, really cool that we get 2 people on fire. So they've both won 4 games in a row. Someone is going to break that streak right here and right now. Looks like we've got some Rebels and Brawlers on the other side. We're at 10 because of our Fawn. We got that Ribbon 2. Zhao is rocking a demo. We've got some Battlecast, a little bit of everything. Just a solid comp there, especially with that Kog'Maw with those items. So it's going to be kind of like percent health Kog'Maw, which should actually be pretty good against some of the units in this Blade Master comp. But is that enough damage quick enough to deal with this Master Yi?
I think you actually saw like the earlier stages of Zhao's comp, but that Kog'Maw is now a Jinx with those items instead.
Baited.
Yeah, actual baited. But the good thing is that Master Yi has the QSS to be able to not get stunned by that Demolitionist. But yeah, I think that was very instrumental in taking that round at least. Maybe Sonx can hang on and make this HP differential not be so spooky in a little bit.
And we do have Zhao taken it down. And I mean, MismatchedSocks with the Yi 3 is kind of like, it's like chocolate and milk, right? It just goes together. And and at this point, you gotta say MismatchedSocks, I feel like, has proven the point right now that you can start whatever way you want. Hey, do you want 2 chalices and a Rabadon's on your Yi? Wonderful. This also works. Because remember last week he won a lobby without an RFC on that Yi, which people are like, you have to get that RFC, but he had like a melee oriented, like self-sustained Yi that time around. But this double Gangplank ult, especially with that Quicksilver on that Yi, does nothing. I mean, the job is to get rid of that carry, and that's not going to happen. No one's touching this Yi.
Yep. No, this Yi is actually just wrecking house, seemingly, at least right now, untouchable. The HP differential has been closed. Sonx is still on a win streak, getting the extra gold. That Zephyr, Zhao's probably looking at it. Can't Zephyr the Yi, though. What are you going to Zephyr?
Does it matter? Right? Like at this point,
Yeah,
it just really feels like this Yi is just too strong. I think Zhao is going to have to pull off some crazy positioning. Maybe Zephyr, the Irelia, figure that out. He can't use the Blitzcrank against the Master Yi either. So that's just a wasted cooldown. And so we already have countered the Blitzcrank. And so a lot of the units in Zhao's field right now are already countered by what
Yeah.
MismatchedSocks is running, which
Yeah, I
is
was actually just
beautiful news for him.
thinking about all the things that this QSS counters right now. Counters Blitzcrank, which helps the Jinx not get the reset. Counters the GP stun. It counters the Gnar when Gnar jumps in as well. There's just so much that this QSS affects here. And he's again just tearing through the comp. Even the Yasuo and the Zed and the Irelia are in the backline killing the Jinx before he even gets there. I think in the next round, this might just be a victory for Sox here, unless, again, like you said, something changes up, something else happens for Zhao. The Zephyr isn't going to be too great. But if I'm looking at it from the perspective of Zhao, you can't let Sox get that Zephyr because then he just Zephyrs your GP, and there's even no chance of you winning at that point.
Yeah,
It's
like
just
a
such a good
2%
spot.
becomes a 0%,
Yeah.
right? And you want to continue to give yourself hope, which, in this game, anything can happen as we're moving all of the units around. Everyone's still in that rebel cluster, just in a different order right now. But I'd like to maybe even see a couple more decisions from Zhao, like throw something completely different out there, because what's been already thrown out there has not been working. We're kind of seeing the same thing over and over again. We're seeing this GP ult do nothing. We're seeing this Gnar ult do nothing. And even though this round's a little bit closer, I still think this
Yeah.
Yi is going to take it. We might be able to see one more round. Nope, as
Nope.
MismatchedSocks is going to win at this lobby.
Man, that Urgot started pulling the Jinx, but even when it died, the Jinx was still like walking, so she wasn't autoing. Maybe if the Jinx got the chance to auto there instead, could have seen another round
Yeah.
because Zhao wouldn't have died in time. But MismatchedSocks, the Blade Masters, they're coming back and they are looking dominant.
I would like to apologize to everybody. I kind of did bring that into existence by talking about why is no one running Yi a little earlier
Yeah.
in that lobby. And now we're really wondering why no one's running Yi, as we have a pretty close top four right now with
Oh yeah.
MismatchedSocks, Sphinx, Arestidios, and Zhao all in the top four, followed by Impeeba, Treebeard, Zero, and Doublezzzz. So
Yeah.
even though we have some new people for Fight Night Rising, it does seem like some of these players have that tournament experience. It's so cool to see them go against people not in their region. I love cross region play, and it's kind of awesome to see like these European players stay up so late to play with us on Fight Night Rising. So thank you so much for joining us. But man, the best part is giving them another vehicle to be noticed. And I think that's kind of what's happening to especially Zhao right now.
Yeah, definitely. Zhao looking very, very, very strong. So is Aristidio's. If we can go back to the scores actually real quick, I wanted to point a couple of things out. There's a 1 point differential between Sox and Sphinx, then only 1 point separating Sphinx from Aristidio's. Like, this is a really solid performance, getting a second and then a third, top three 2 times in a row for a new player. Like, Zhao barely got fifth in game one, got a good placement last game with second. But I mean, these new players, not only do they have that, platform to be able to compete, some cross-region play, but they're making it work and challenging the likes of Sphinx and Stux, probably some of the two best players in North America right now. It's just like we really, really love to see it. Love to see this competition.
Love it. And we got to see it last week with Wojtek, another new
Yeah,
player from the European region coming on. Unfortunately, I think got fourth by 1 point. Fell victim to the
very
3-week
close.
curse, which MismatchedSocks actually doesn't look like he's going to fall victim to this time around, which is great for him. But yeah, before we go to break, what is something that you kind of that you were excited to see this time around?
I am excited to see. I'm gonna say how well mech performs against literally just any other comp. Like, I'm very curious to see the mech matchups, if it's going to be super dominant, how it can be itemized, and how it's strong versus mid game into the late game. And I think we've seen a little bit of that, and I'm sure we will see more. But for now, we will be heading to a quick 5-minute break before we get the final two games of this week's Fight Night Rising. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone, to this week's Fight Night Rising. We've had a couple of spectacular games so far, with MismatchedSocks leading the pack after a couple of games. Boop, how are you feeling about them so far?
I'm feeling pretty good about it. MismatchedSocks repping those Blade Masters. Lobby 1, he was like, my biggest mistake was not running Blade Masters. And so
True.
he built 2 Chalices and a Rapitons on his Master Yi with some other really good items as well to end up winning that second lobby. But I think one of the bigger stories here is our boy Sphinx. Sphinx
yeah.
boy, as Mordog I think likes to call him in his Pegasus voice. The big thing there is like it's kind of like the American Gunday, like a rags to riches story. Started streaming to like 2 people and now is one of the more well-known players. It's pretty awesome to see Sphinx really show up and establish himself as a member of this community even further than he already has. And I think his performance today going into tomorrow should make him feel pretty great so far. We still have 2 lobbies to go, but so far so good for Sphinx.
So far, so good indeed. Yeah, not just a member of the community, but a member of the competitive scene and being dominant in that. Very, very much so. Sphinx definitely starting to make more of a name for himself there. But we do start off with the perspective of Doublezz with a tier again. Did start with a blue buff last time, but it was not, unfortunately for him, good enough. See what he chooses to do here. Has a pair of poppies, has a pair of Malphites, picks them both up. So it could go either route so far.
Good old Poppy. Remember Poppy that was tankier than the mech not too long ago?
Yeah, that
During
Candyland,
yeah, during
Candyland era
Candyland.
of Poppy, man, she was slapping.
She was
Poppy
probably
actually 1v5.
maybe the best unit in the game at that point in time. A 1
Oh
cost
yeah,
unit being the best unit in the game.
I agree.
Absolutely nutty. But we're going to see a little bit of a neutered version of that Poppy
Mhm.
right now. Still one of the better early game units just in general. Does fall off, but we have the Poppy, we got the Zoe, and we got 2 blue buffs right now. This is looking a little bit magey, if I say so myself, as
Oh yeah,
Sphinx has potential Shiv, has the cloak. That's probably, in my opinion, one of the more challenging items to work with, is that cloak.
oh
When you
yeah.
get an early cloak, what do you usually invest it in?
Invested in crying because you have a cloak and it's the worst item by far. No, but I mean, really though, maybe what you want a QSS for your mech. You can maybe slap a Runans on something if you have you're gonna go what like a Jinx or like a Kog'Maw or something, some blasters. Slamming a D-Claw feels bad. Slamming a Zephyr early, it's like you don't really want to do that. Ionic Spark is okay, probably one of the best items that you would slam early with a cloak, but besides that, it really just feels bad.
Yeah, I mean, and it just you see it just like sitting there, and even some lesser players would, just gonna play Cybers. We're gonna give the cloak divide to see what happens,
Yeah,
and
I
then
mean, hey, that's honestly such a viable option. It's like if I have a cloak on cybernetics early, I'm just okay, Leona, here you go. You take this, you can get an Onyx Spark at some point down the line, but you're just the cloak holder for now. While I prioritize, my IE Last Whisper for my Vayne or Aurelia or
I'm
whatever.
imagine some like super fashionable cloak now. You just like, here, Leona, look great for the time of being, and that just goes to show that that cloak can be very, very challenging. As we have the Hodge on the Kog'Maw already, and
Yeah.
that's actually a pretty big deal because the Hodge Giant Slayer red buff blaster build, along with some of the battle cast, is very, very strong. That item combination works on any of the blasters except for Ezreal. Kog'Maw is a great one to start with. Maybe chooses Jinx a little bit later.
Mm-hmm. Definitely curious that Impeeba did slam it, but I do like that he's winning this round. Wait, did Impeeba just roll? Did I see that correctly?
He's taken the Booposaurus approach to playing.
Because
I
I,
see.
I swear he bought a Jarvan, but then his shop has 5 units in it. I'm pretty sure he just rolled.
So yeah, the Grand Peeba showing us exactly why we love him so much. Went ahead and we're at level 4 already, which Treebeard cannot say. The IE on the Xayah is a pretty good option. It can definitely turn into a lot of different options. in different opportunities a little later on, as our gold is starting off strong, as it's going to be Plunder Planet, which is one of the newer ones. And so something that we always will say for everyone at home, you get the same amount of gold throughout the game. Some people get a lot of it early, some people get a lot of it late, and you kind of want the gold early.
Yeah.
Though, Khroen, when you don't, and you notice that the rest of the lobby is starting to get ahead, how do you kind of counteract that bleeding? Is it kind of just, please give me the money, or please give me good items, or is there like a specific way of offsetting the lack of gold earlier on?
So I'm glad you asked this because I'm sitting here in my mind thinking about Impeeba. He rolled. Why did he roll? Maybe because it's Plunder Planet. He wants to make sure that he's strong enough to win streak, and not only win streak, but to maintain as much Plunder Planet gold as he can, so he can start econing a lot earlier. And I think that that is one of the ways that you can make sure that you're getting the most effectiveness out of this galaxy, is by making sure you have a strong early game. Unfortunately for Impeeba, he rolled, had a couple of pairs, but didn't hit, chose to level up anyway. But I think that was that sort of idea there, that sort of mentality going into that decision.
All right, a couple gold for both players now. Just 4 for Impeeba. We got 2 people still at 100. Let's go ahead and check in at Treebeard, who did look like he was going to be running Blade Master anyway because of that IE. That could potentially turn into something else a little later, because he's got to know that he's probably competing for that Blade Master build with Socks.
Yeah, probably. Maybe Treebeard commits here. I know he was econing, so that would make sense as to why there's not going to be that many victories on the board for Treebeard right now. In fact, 3 losses in a row. But maybe we'll just go for a Xayah composition or 6 BMs, because I believe that Treebeard doesn't really like hyper rolling, doesn't really like slow rolling. He'd rather just get the tier 2 Xayah and then push levels from there on out. Got the bow, and it made the Rakan too. I wonder if that was intentional or not there for Treebeard.
It's potentially a unit that you could swap out a little while later. I mean, we have the Yi, we've got a couple other Blade Masters, so it's all about investing in the particular unit you want to invest in. You can put some of that investment into the Xayah, but that's not going to bring you as good of an investment later on, potentially, as we just saw the Yi from MismatchedSocks win a lobby.
Yeah. Oh
So
man, doubles the Rumble. That Rumble just cooked everything in front of it. Wow.
yeah, I got some barbecue is on the menu. You never know. What do Yordles eat? Do we know? Could be people. We don't know.
I
We
have
don't know
no
for sure.
idea. I'm not familiar with the lore of Yordle cuisine, unfortunately.
They probably. Yeah, what is the tastiest looking Yordle? Like, if you had to cook and eat a Yordle, because of all the things in Runeterra, they're probably the thing closest to wild game that we have. If you were to
I
choose a
think
Yordle
that's
to eat,
actually
who would it be?
arguable. I think maybe the Vistayan are, anyways. I have no idea. I'm not
You
trying
can
to eat
thank our
Yordle.
producer for that one. So we've got MismatchedSocks also running those Blade Masters, and that's going to be very interesting to see how MismatchedSocks and Treebeard now, because Mismatch has been uncontested on Blade Masters so far today, but
Yeah.
he is contested this time around, at least here in the early game.
Yeah, Socks with the Master Yi has already chosen to slam Deathcap and QSS. Now, I last game talked about the importance of RFC Runans. I think those still are very important items, but Socks was able to get the win without having that Runans. And I think he was able to go 9, found the E3 super early, so that kind of offset the need for it. However, he's at 0 bows right now, and if he doesn't get a bow here, will that melee Yi that we saw last week be able to appear again and be just as effective?
Yeah, it was. I can't remember exactly what the build was, but it was a really cool way that he did it, because it was almost built a little bit more defensively with some self-sustain as well, to keep him in the game a little while longer, because he was a lot more vulnerable. But I think really last lobby, the thing that brought him that win ended up being that Quicksilver. Yes, the RFC was
Yep.
another really great way for him to get there. That is gold. Ooh, gets to 40. That's like a lot of extra gold.
Oh yeah.
But the Quicksilver countered literally everything on Zhao's team last time
Hmm.
around. So I would probably make the same choice here. I mean, that was pretty strong, and honestly, I didn't see how Zhao wins that with the Quicksilver on that E. So maybe we're just kind of recreate that scenario, but without those two bows, it's going to be pretty hard.
Yeah, definitely needed. I'm not sure if Xiao had a red buff or not, but definitely needed a red buff. Plus needed that GP to ult as quickly as possible and kill other units so that Jinx could pop off and spread red buff to Yi and then eventually kill him from there. That had to have been the win condition. Wasn't able to happen. Socks here, just spreading these items around. Tier goes on the graves, get that earlier smoke screen. And the early smoke screen saving this Yi, at least for now, but not enough. As Arestidios, 100 HP, it looks like there. Yeah, 100 HP on a win streak and destroying Sox' win streak here. Ares putting themselves in a good position here.
This Blade Master comp is feast or famine. It is just like what we say about Pipa sometimes. It is a first or eighth type of comp, and we actually saw that happen with Sox last week, where I believe he did get first and then eighth in two
Yeah.
consecutive lobbies. And it's all about, I think, knowing that Sox is in your lobby, would you put a little bit more emphasis in denying a Yi3 as opposed to just letting him have it and hoping?
Yeah, so I've talked about this concept before. I think that if you are in a position in the lobby to whereas you're winning, you are above 50 gold and don't need to go below it. If you see a Yi, sure, you can pick it up. Late game, definitely. If it's like the top 2 or the top 3 alive, and you're gonna be running into him very often, then sure. But early to mid game, if you're gonna need the gold for other things, I wouldn't really worry about that. You're trying to make yourself strong so you're not gonna die. You're not trying to just grief one person. You're trying to make sure you get the best placement possible. You're not gonna run into him that often. You can't face the last 4 players that you faced, so it's not really a thing that I would invest in until the later on stages of the game, like that top 2, top 3
Yeah,
kind of spot.
you have AEs, right, to kind of buffer your that departure of that train, right? You just
Yeah.
need to track that out, and that goes to show how important that scouting is. Because if you kind of just miss it, if you see that Sox or someone else is at that eighth Yi, you can start being maybe a little bit more aggressive on picking those up. As Zero is having a little bit of a hard time right now, along with Treebeard at the bottom of the leaderboard. Actually, our bottom 4 separated themselves a little bit from our top 4. It's a little bit of a struggle as we get 4 Chronos and a couple Blasters. Chrono early on, always a solid trait, especially with the auto attacking champions that we have. Even the Twisted Fate is going to benefit a lot from that. And this time around, Lucian is going to abide by social distancing and not yeet himself into the enemy team, which
Yeah.
is the problem with Lucian. And that's like exactly why we don't see a lot of Lucian carry. Even though Lucian 3 is a very strong unit, he could still dash into the other team. And we actually saw a couple rounds ago that losing a round for him.
Yeah, that we did, but fortunately was able to micro himself effectively there. Something that's interesting in this game right now, the top 4 in the lobby, Zhao, Arestidios, Sphinx, and MismatchedSocks, are actually our top 4 overall in terms of points for tonight. And our
Interesting.
bottom 4 in this lobby are the bottom 4 in terms of point orders for tonight so far. Maybe a bit of a coincidence there, but maybe it just goes to tell playing early game better and playing early game to setting yourself up for a better late game means you're gonna place higher more percent of the time.
Hmm.
Maybe it's telling a story here, not just coincidence.
And yeah, and that storyline is definitely something we can bring into that 4th round, especially if our top 4 separate. If they get a top 4 again, they have separated themselves from the rest of the lobby. It's going to be very hard for anyone to sneak in there outside of the top 5. So
Yep.
you really want to try to finish in the top 5 at least if you're anybody in this lobby right now. If you want to set up for a chance at the top 3, if you want a top 1, you got to kind of win this lobby if you haven't already. So Sphinx has already done that. MismatchedSocks has done that. We've got a couple new players finishing in the top 4, top 5 in both rounds already, and then we've got kind of everybody else. So we need someone like Doublezzzz to really perform if not only they want to play spoiler, but also compete for that top spot themselves. As Impeeba has a GA on that Nico. Hand of Justice on Ari, along with that Morellonomicon. I mean, I see how Hand of Justice and Morellonomicon can be really good on Ari. How long do you think we're going to see this item distribution here for Piba?
until, I don't know, Victor or Xerath or whoever he wants to put that on. I mean, there's a Victor in the shop actually right now. Star Guardians might be a bit stronger though. Ari is a good mid early game carry for those items. It depends. People might hold on to it for a while. He usually does hold on to things like that for a while, just his general playstyle. I think Sphinx just hit a tier 3 of something I saw on the side there. Not quite sure. I'd be curious to see what that would be though. Okay. Sphinx is going for a battle cast. Reroll. Has Shiv,
Sphinx
Runaan's
boy.
red buff. These are perfect items on the Kog'Maw. Is one away from Graves.
Oh, this is
3
so
away
great
from
to see.
Alawi. Yeah.
Khroen, from someone like a Sphinx to see a third comp get released here and having it be driven this well so far. Very, very proud of them. And for everyone at home, we're not this is a lot of growth that we've seen, and this is kind of especially tomorrow is kind of like the culmination and coronation for some of these players like Treebeard, like Sphinx, who have been toiling around in some of our the tier 2 tournaments, but will break onto the scene on those qualifiers, and to be able to run a couple different comps, especially in this meta where the early game is so fluid, right? Then you're gonna feel really good. If I'm Sphinx, I'm feeling really great about tomorrow, and if I'm Treebeard, I'm kind of just hoping my bad games are today and not tomorrow, which
Yeah.
is how I would go into tomorrow. All right, I got all my bad games out yesterday, so tomorrow I'm gonna be able to do what I need to do, because Treebeard could also be limit tasting and trying some things out.
Yeah, man. Watching Sphinx's rolls there is a little bit feels bad. Rolled into a couple of Kog'Maws there, but didn't have the bench space for it. Didn't decide to sell any of the Malphites nor the Victor. Oh, that's a Graves 3. That's going to be huge. Really, really good roll there for Sphinx. Gonna keep rolling. 2 Alawi's away and 1 Malphite away, actually. Usually people won't commit to the Malphite this hard.
Oh,
but
might as well, I guess.
Might as well if you're able to roll it. Levels to 6, throws it in. Hey, this is good.
All right. And there is nothing in this game, I think, that frustrates me more than being 1 hex away from the grave and hitting the air every single time. And with a tier 3 graves, that could actually happen. And while they're still going to develop ultimate through it, oh my god, look at that burst damage too. I mean, that's not nothing to scoff at as well, especially this early on at 4-1 to have 3 tier 3 units,
Yeah.
or 3 tier 3 units. That's really, really good for Sphinx, and that's the whole point of a Battlecast. 1 more ult from this Nocturne should be enough, and the Grave actually is going to survive, it looks like, with just the skin of his teeth. Tier 3 Graves, and that goes to show that roll was so important. He doesn't get that tier 3 Graves, Sphinx probably loses that round.
Oh yeah, 100%. I thought Sphinx was actually going to lose that round even with that. It was really, really close, but the Nocturne Grave still being alive there at the end, able to take out those mech units that popped out. Sphinx in a really, really good spot, actually on top of the lobby right now. But we're going to Treebeard, and Treebeard actually does something that he doesn't do often, at least from what I see. Rolled for that tier 3 Xayah, and is using that to try to carry himself into this mid to late game.
Got great items on the Xayah too, so this definitely can help. A lot of tier 3 units so far, and this is just I think what happens when you have Plunder Planet, right? We've got a couple extra gold every round. Why not use it to roll? And now we've got an opportunity to see some of these characters that are champs that we normally don't see hit their max level actually get there, and you're really seeing this Xayah start to pop off. Again, another time, if you don't roll the 3 there, the Syndra kills the Xayah, might be a little bit of a different story. And really great choices, really great intentional choice. That's something I harp on all the time, is if you're guessing, you're never going to feel good about that, right? So if you just go into it, you're like, this is the right decision. And if it's not, I'll learn a little bit later. I think Treebeard's really, really great at that. Socks is really great at that. And the decision-making I see from Treebeard, very, very impressive, is another tier 3 on.
I was going to say, went away from their con and hits it. So Treebeard, all those tier 3s really going to start to make an impact here. See Sphinx hitting the Alawi 3 there as well, actually, at the top of the board. Don't really need to check in with him right now, but maybe a bit later. Treebeard, can he win a 4th round in a row? Seems to be pretty strong right now.
Does pick
That's
up
4 Infiltrators, 4 Vanguard. Not a comp that we see every day here from Arestidios.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard because Sphinx already has that Nocturne 3, so maybe not even going for it right now. It has a lot of the items prepared for that Nocturne, but those Infiltrators do not do their job, and neither does that Jace. Zaya will survive through all of the damage. That Channel was actually pretty clutch. A good amount of gold for Treebeard as well.
Yep. That few extra gold every turn from Plunder Planet. Really helpful in terms of these hyper roll or reroll compositions, hitting their power spikes. Really instrumental in Treebeard being where he's at right now, 49 HP, but on that win streak. We see the top of the lobby here, Impeeba and Sphinx. Sphinx did lose a round, but Impeeba, you know, we talked about the fact that Ari might move into a victor later, and it did, and that's why he's on a win streak right now.
Victor is so good for in terms of like game-changing ultimates, right? Victor is definitely one of those. He draws that line, and you know, if you're on that line, it's like hot potato. You got to get out of the way, or else you're gonna get burned. And Impeeba has been burned into those back lines so far. And
Yeah.
it looks like he got, what did he grab there?
Belt.
A belt.
Yeah, MismatchedSocks grabbed a belt as well. And I was actually wanting to say I want to check in with MismatchedSocks because that Master Yi that had the Death Cap and the QSS before, we see a pivot here from MismatchedSocks from Master Yi going into mech.
Yeah. Aha! The reason why that reaction's there, everyone at home, is just MismatchedSocks has literally forced Blade Masters in 5 out of his last 6 games here. So it's definitely something he went after. I believe he did have a couple Blade Masters to start, but is deciding to go the good old way because this is probably something that he's going to be running tomorrow as well.
Yep.
You were really interested in if that mech is going to be doing that work. Victor gets pulled, is able to get that ult off though. So much damage.
And another one. Wow. Yeah, gets 2, and this mech, of course, can clean up that latter half of this fight here. Arestidios going to take the L in just a moment once the mech cleans this up.
Yeah, so if you're MismatchedSocks and you're kind of not doing the Blade Master thing, what's that telling you for this particular lobby and what he's trying to get out of it?
I mean, trying to be flexible, saying, yeah, Master Yi was cool in all early game. I don't have any bows. Probably not going to be that great. I'm going to go what's strong and what I have the items for and use that to, to its greatest effectiveness. And he's doing that right now. I think that Socks' transition looked really clean there. He was on like 70 gold, level 7. He's going to be able to go to 8 after Raptors and keep rolling. Put Demo in, Mystics, everything that he needs. And he's in a good spot. Sphinx here also in a good spot. 71 HP. Is 1 away from Kog'Maw 3 at this point. Jesus. Once he hits that, like, what beats him? At least for now. Like, maybe late game, but definitely nothing right now.
And a lot of those Battlecast procs are actually working out. You don't really see the Battlecast get so much value out of that. And, you know, the Static Shiv procs help with that Kog'Maw getting to those casts as well. And that's going to be a lot of damage going to Ares. And I mean, I think there's like 7, 8 tier 3 units now, like on the field, and we're only at 4, 6, right? That's just how these players are managing their economy. And one of the things on that last patch that Mort did mention was we want people to not have to force tier 3 units that aren't like the necessary ones like Yi, but if you, I think it even says in the notes, but if you happen to run across them, we want to make it worth it for you.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing some of that right now. Remember, Graves did get a 1 second buff at all levels for that blind, and blind is just, he's the only one with it, I think, and you gotta give him credit for that, right? Especially if you're able to blind that black line. Say you're going up against Treebeard and you blind that Xayah. I mean, that's almost 60 to 70, 80% of the damage that's just gone for 5 seconds. 6 seconds.
6 seconds even. Yeah, it's super, super good. Of course, Graves being one of the ones that was buffed. I think like Leona being another one. Poppy, actually the 2-3 of Poppy to get buff. Sphinx going the direction of leveling up now besides, or instead of rolling for that Kog'Maw 3.
I bet if we go to somebody else's view, we're gonna see him get the Kog'Maw 3 next round. Okay, let's do this. I appreciate this. We gotta, you know, it's, what is that? What do we learn in school? The experimental design diagram, right? You gotta have your hypothesis, and oh man, dude, this is why Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader is so hard. I have not thought about this in years. But anyway, you guys understand what I'm saying. He's doing some experimenting. We're going to see the results, and I want to see a Kog'Maw 3 because it's been a while since we've seen it. But this Urgot, doesn't matter how big that Malphite is, he's going to try to eat him, but too late, as Sphinx will win this again. And this is something that happened with Sphinx earlier on today, which was when he won, he was destroying people, getting 15, 16 HP out of them every
Yep.
single round, which is why, again, you're seeing a little bit of that separation between Sphinx and everybody else, as Sphinx is arguably having the best day of TFT I have ever seen him have as a caster.
Man, that is quite the statement there, but I would be willing to agree with you. This is some of the best performance that I've seen from Sphinx in in a long time, if not ever. Doublezz trying to hang on after losing that round very handedly to Sphinx. Selling one Nico, gonna replace some items here. They're gonna go on the Urgot though.
I don't think the Kog'Maw 3 happened, but
No.
if we just don't look at Sphinx again and he does get it, then I'm still right. All right,
Yeah, of
producer?
course, of
So
course.
yeah. Well, let's set me up for success. I
Yeah,
appreciate
we
it.
don't need to look at Sphinx for a while. Like he's first place. He's gonna be in this game for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, then we got some really interesting items now for a Treebeard deciding to go with that death blade. The Syndra is going to burst him down, but it don't matter as Doublezz is going to get an 8th place once again. It's been kind of a rough day for our friend Doublezz. We said it would be on the polls, right? He'd either be killing it or would not be, and right now it is the latter, as we've said before, as Impeeba dropping himself.
Impeeba, level 9 right now, has potentially a Janna 2, if that Nico decides to go there. Selling the Cassiopeia, finds an Aurelion Soul. Aurelion Soul goes in over the Victor. Alright, this is making sense now. This is the kind of Impeeba playstyle that we know and we love.
Yeah, gotta love it. And we'll see how far he's going to be able to go. The thing about the Impeeba playstyle is it's like it's like when he hits 25 HP, like some other level of thinking, like a new wrinkle forms in his brain, right? Where the knowledge comes out. Because one, Janna and Lulu are such good units. And if you're able to get tier 2s of them on the field, especially early on, it's going to really work out for him as Sphinx keeps stalking us and keeps stalking all of the rest of our players. And again, they're getting spanked by Sphinx right now. It has been not very fun for some other people. And then did Sphinx lose that last round against MismatchedSocks? It looks like he may have 2 rounds ago, as he's at 62 HP instead.
Maybe, yeah. I don't actually remember quite offhand. I know Socks did lose that last round to somebody though, so interesting if that was the that was how it occurred. This is a very interesting carousel. There's 3 infiltrators spat.
What are the what are the chances of
One
that?
Battlecast spat.
I'm
not too sure. Yeah, Sphinx is eyeing that Battlecast spat for sure. That would be so good for him to getting 6 Battlecast.
Yeah, I mean, and basically, like, he already, that'll really unlock everything. Doesn't necessarily need that Urgot, and will get that Battlecast spat. They kind of just left it there for him. But like, the thing is like, whether he gets that spat item or not, he probably still wins the lobby. But
maybe. I'm less sure about that, actually.
Okay.
I'm less sure about that. I think that without that Battlecast spat, he would have to level up one more time to fit in all the units in. He can now choose to take away a Cassiopeia from the comp, a Victor, or doesn't need to find the Urgot, but can have the 6 Battlecast online. There's a lot that I think that Battlecast provides, so I'm a lot more confident saying that, when he gets it, he's in a very, really, really good spot to win the lobby. Without it, less so. Speaking of getting in a position to win the lobby, though, Xerospl is 1 Jinx away from a Jinx 3. That is definitely a lobby winning condition right there.
Yeah, I mean, noticing that literally nobody is running this comp today for some reason.
Yeah,
and it's working out.
I mean, yeah, is a little low on HP. Lost the last couple of rounds, but does win this round and takes out Impeeba. So a better placement here for Xerospl in the top 6 right now. Impeeba and Doublezz being our bottom 2. Xerospl, the Jinx, one more.
Keep rolling. Oh, there it is!
Actually hits.
Actually hits the
Oh
Jinx
man,
3. All right, folks, these tier
on the
3 4-cost
last
units are
roll.
like lobby winning type of units. I have seen, a Jinx 3 lose before to Jins back in the day, but
Yeah.
we shall see. The unfortunate thing is that we are so low HP. If that Jinx just kind of gets bonked by something, or if there's a good Zephyr, then it could be
Yeah.
pretty rough. But also with that Rebel spat on the Echo, understated opportunity as well. Kind of like we were talking about Battlecast for Sphinx, who actually lost that last round. Having that Echo be that Rebel is going to give him that opportunity to get that ult off. That Gnar ult is quite good, but this Jinx 3 is going to destroy Ares right now, who is going to live a little bit longer. But man,
Yep.
that Jinx 3 is going to be hard to beat, man. It's going to take something like a Master E3 in order to do it. And I'm not even sure that could be the case if this Jinx starts popping off, especially with those items and that red buff.
Oh yeah, this Jinx is quite the menace. I actually do want to take a look at Arestidios, because they were on 50 gold. Oh yeah, I don't actually think that we could do that. Never mind. But we'll have perhaps see who Arestidios could face, because was on 50 gold, was willing to take that loss in order to go, I believe, level 9 and try to win from there. Like, going so low is very risky, but perhaps it can work out. We will see in the placements at least. Sphinx rolling. Level 9 still needs the Kog'Maw.
I
It's
was
going to be hard to
wrong.
hit. Yeah.
Especially at level 9, it's only a 15% chance. But as the rest of the units kind of leave the packs, maybe that Kog'Maw comes in a little bit easier. The Thresh is okay here. Hopefully, he doesn't pull in one of those one-cost Kog'Maws. That would suck.
Yeah, that would not be
We
great. I'm actually curious why that Thresh is even in there in the first place. I think there'd probably be different units that might be better.
Yeah, if
I
he
don't
pulls into
know, though.
Lulu, then it's probably fine. If he's able to pull in anything and does, I said it. I'm so sorry. It's like, I'm so sorry. This is my fault. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to matter, as he
Oh,
is actually going to win anyway. So
yeah.
interesting how this comp
Aristidis.
seems to be losing really hard against its counters, but is winning so hard against the ones that, it's more of like a win more type of situation with these battle casts. It doesn't even need the Urgot right now, but will definitely want it a little bit later. Very interesting that the Graves is the battle cast for me. Do you think that was good to invest? Maybe try to find another unit that might fit that battle cast equation a little bit more. Was that a little rush, do you think?
I think the Graves is fine, actually. It's going to be in front line, tanking a bit. So getting hit a lot. He's going to be healing when he gets pretty low. If he does that, he's able to get another smoke screen off, which is 6 seconds of them not casting. I think it's pretty good, personally.
Cool. As Ares was eliminated, so was
Yeah.
Treebeard, who's having a little bit of a hard day today, unfortunately. It's like once things seem to be going the right way for Treebeard, he just runs out of health, and very, very consistent so far in terms of his placements. I think only 5th and 6th so far today, as we have another kind of like 50-50 split. We got Zhao, who has had a wonderful day today in terms of impressing me, and MismatchedSocks is not running those Blade Masters, and that seems to be very good news for him, because Sphinx's comp, as strong as it was in that last round, it rings true this time around, gets demolished by MismatchedSocks.
Yep. Zeros actually falling there, so we are at our top 3 already. Sphinx, Zhao, and MismatchedSocks. I mean, players have been playing well, and they've been continuing to impress.
I mean, at this point, MismatchedSocks and Sphinx probably, and even Zhao actually are probably really comfortable.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. But the thing that's actually going to be really cool for this 4th lobby that we don't actually get all the time is usually the winner is kind of decided by the 4th lobby, but this time around it won't be. It's going to be pretty wide open, and so I'm really excited to see what's going to happen there, as we're still getting money on this Plunder Planet for a Sphinx. And man, the
Kog'Maw.
yeah, that Kog'Maw
Healing.
is so good. Zhao will fall. No, he won't. He's going to live with just a little bit HP, 5 HP. He's going to hit one more chance, and everyone's going to make it to the next carousel.
Ooh, this Shaco actually putting some moves on here. Oh, man, actually wins this round against Socks, I believe. That's Shaco with those mechanics.
I know, that Shaco's not on my team. That Shaco's on the opposing team. That's how it works.
Yeah, my Shaco versus enemy team Shaco 100% of the time right there.
Oh man, but yeah, the mechanics there are really cool, and that I think there is give and take when it comes to RFC on Shaco. It can randomize his movement, and actually put him in positions that you might not like. But that time around, it totally works out. And with that
Yeah,
Bloodthirster, that's so much lifesteal. With that, I think it's extra 250% on that ultimate. Mismatch
yeah,
Socks also has a good amount of money at level 9, so we're definitely going to be picking up some 5-cost units, and we're going to be filling out the rest of this board here soon. Lulu seems to be hyper contested right now, so it's going to be pretty hard for anybody to 2-star that Lulu, even though there's only 3 players left, as Sphinx also has 2, maybe even 3. But yeah, as we're continuing to roll for this Urgot right now, it looks like Victor. We do
yeah.
have a tier 2 Victors. We might see a tier 3, but there's just not enough time in the game.
No, probably not, unless the rolls are very, very lucky. Fizz jumping to the backline. Victor is pretty safe right now, it looks like, though. Was that Jewel Gauntlet pickup for the mech good enough to now beat this Shaco? This is the round, or this is the comp that Sox did lose to last round. Looking like it's
Yes.
going a lot better for now, though.
But this did kind of go the same way last time with the
Yeah.
Shaco, where this is this. Am I experiencing deja vu right now? Is that what this feeling is?
I think we all are.
I think it was literally
Oh,
exactly this. Oh,
okay.
it was almost literally exactly the same as last time. As Sox will be at 4.
Ooh,
Wow, we
Sphinx.
have Sphinx getting eliminated, and we've got one more round. This is going to be it. And Zhao did beat MismatchedSocks last time. We do have an Urgot 2, which the Thresh will pull in. Victor 2 is not bad for Thresh to pull in either. So really, this could go MismatchedSocks' way if they're able to isolate that Shaco and take him down. But with the ROC, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, as we go into what will for sure be the last round of this game. Boop, walk us through this fight here. How's it going?
All right, here we go. They're going to get into that mech, but everyone in the mid lane is going to get hit by that Shroud of Stillness. So it's going to be a while before those ults come out, and this could not be going better for MismatchedSocks right now. But it's all about getting rid of that Shaco. He was able to 1v5 last time. Is he going to be able to do it now? Maybe he is going to be able to ult right after he gets eaten. And if it's on that Urgot, it could be enough. What's happening? So
The Urgot interaction.
just taking a
Oh
little bit of a
no.
stroll, just he likes long walks on the beach sometimes, under the dark stars. And MismatchedSocks is going to be able to take this as a second lobby win for him, and not with a Blade Master.
Man, MismatchedSocks. I was worried. Losing 2 rounds back to back against that Shaco, but the Urgot 2 was found, pulled it in, and that's what dealt with the Shaco at the end. Both times, the GA state, and then after the GA state as well. MismatchedSocks pulling very, very, very far ahead here. We talk about there's a lot of times where the victor is decided by, game number, or the end of game number 3. That isn't quite the case this time. There is a world where Sphinx or Xiao could emerge victorious. But Sox has locked himself in for a top 3 at the very least, I believe. Yes, did lock himself in for a top 3, so we'll be returning next week, regardless of if he is victorious overall here tonight or not.
Breaks the 3-week curse. That's only happened a couple times. So I think we are feeling good about MismatchedSocks right now. And, I said the top of the lobby might be a little bit closer, but he was able to pull that out in the end. I was getting, like you said, a little worried because of that Shaco deja vu, seeing the same exact thing happen 2 times in a row. But yeah, the way that Sox positioned on that last round, it definitely helped out, and he's gonna be back next week. And even the top 3 have separated themselves, but there is a battle for that 3rd spot. So if you're Sphinx, if you're Zhao, you want to finish in the top 3 just to secure yourself, right? The way that today has gone, I expect the same 4 people to be in the top 3 again. It seems like it has been pretty consistent so far in terms of placements from everyone in the lobby, from doubles all the way to MismatchedSocks. It's been pretty the same throughout the rest of this, other than that first lobby for Zhao. So really could be anyone's game. Aries totally still in this.
Yeah, as well. We had Zeros, getting a top 4 there as well. So maybe could make a run for 4th, perhaps there is a world if Arestidios doesn't place well in the next game. Arestidios, though, a little bit of an unorthodox placement. The last game had a couple of top 4s and then a 6th that last game. So really wants to bring it back to get into that top 3.
Yeah, so Arestidios needs to finish 2 spots ahead of Zhao in this last lobby to get into Fight Night Rising next week, and that would be huge to have Zhao and Arestidios come back. If that happens, if Sphinx somehow drops the ball here on this last lobby, it's not out of the question. But Sphinx probably back next week. MismatchedSocks definitely back, 3rd place up for grabs. So we're going to be looking over at Doublezzzz right now, and the new and improved Galactic Armory, so much better.
Oh yeah, I like this
than
a lot
the last one.
sure.
Yeah, why? I don't think we've actually gotten to cast this yet, so tell me why.
Yeah, perhaps not. Well, you see, with old Galactic Armory giving everyone the same 2 completed items, there's not really much wiggle room there. It's like, okay, let's say I got Giant Slayer red buff. It's like, well, you can't really use this for much else than, the Brawler Blasters. It's going to be 8 people in the lobby going for Brawler Blasters. But giving 3 components, you can choose what you want to put those items into. Let's say it was, the sword, a bow, and a belt. You could make, ZZ Rot. You could make Giant Slayer, but you could wait and make those into other things if you so choose. It's just a lot more decision making in the player's hands, a lot more choices that they can make with what they want to do with those items. Doublezzzz immediately chooses to slam a QSS, so probably going for a mech, and that really wouldn't be possible if that was the old Galactic Armory.
Very, very good point. And I love fluid early games in just this auto battler genre, right? Because we've definitely had metas where it's like, okay, everyone starts with Vanguard. Remember like the Golden Vanguards or Knights or whatever they were called a couple sets ago? Like that, everyone just kind of started the same way. And with these item components coming out, you have so much versatility and added fluidity in the early game. Yeah, you can make the argument that the items still kind of constrain the lobby based off of what you get, but components are much easier to be flexible with than actual items. And I think Sphinx is going to have to make some decisions here because he could potentially get that GA on a mech because we all know he likes playing that mech, right? He did okay with the battle cast, getting 3rd last time. Even though he was so far ahead for so long, this mech with Victor comp, which seems to randomly appear in our lobbies, right? We see that comp almost as much as I feel like Star Guardians, and they're both good. Why do you think we don't see it like every lobby when we're here? Because I feel like when we see that comp, it's usually in the top 4.
The mech Victor comp?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do see it, at least from my perspective, more than we see the Star Guardians. I think that it is a comp that has increased in popularity over the past few weeks, especially with the Hodge changes. Ever since then, Hodge is good for mech, good for Victor. The composition just it's pretty easy to get to, actually. If you have a tanky items, it can go on whoever to item hold for the mech. Once you get that Victor, you have your frontline threat with the mech. You have the backline threat with the Victor. Multiple threats, multiple carries. You have tankiness. You kind of have everything going on there. You can throw in synergies like Mystic as well. You can throw in like Demo for that utility. It does a lot. You get a lot from it. Speaking of having a lot, MismatchedSocks has a lot of items for that Yi already, with that RFC and that cloak and that gauntlet on the bench.
Ooh-wee, friends.
We're going back there.
I do my Mr. Poopy Butthole impression from Rick and Morty. One of the greatest cartoon characters of all time, by the way. Treebeard now is going to be who we're looking at, and picks up the Rumble. So we have that demo, and that's going to be an option for him to use with the Ziggs. Going to go ahead and put it in. Rumble, very good early game unit as its own thing, especially with the Ziggs along with it. Anyone that has like internalized grievous wounds is definitely going to be helping out. But we already have the GA on the Rumble, so this is looking very mechy.
I actually hesitate to say it's looking mechy. I think it does look for sure demolitionisty, but maybe mech-ish. It's mech adjacent. It's mech adjacent. But I think it's looking like a Rebels or like a Jinx with a what's it called?
Yeah, there's that last whisper.
Yeah. Rebels and GP later on, Jinx can utilize Last Whisper decently well if you give her an IE. The IE damage will scale with the Rebel buff. Not bad there. I'm not sure I like slamming the Last Whisper on the Rumble. Maybe having another item carrier for that would have been better. But Treebeard, he's winning.
So why not?
Can't really, can't really blame him.
It's like if you win in a forest and no one cares about it. Does it really happen, right? Or your item's bad, but you still win. Doesn't really matter in the end. The answer is no, because you're sitting at 100 HP. It might matter in 10 rounds or so.
Yeah.
But right now, we are fine. Oh, yeah, I forgot he's got the Windows 95 skin for his computer.
Yeah, he
Love
does.
it. Love it. Best operating system of all time.
Oh,
Windows
man.
95. As
too long ago.
I know, right? I just turned 30 last week, man.
Oh, happy birthday.
I know. One, I just wanted to tell everybody. And two, if I can do it, you can do it. If I made it here, everyone here can make it here too. So if you needed that little pick-me-up, I hope the hell. I have a ring on my finger. I'm 30. I got 2 dogs. Again, if I can do it,
hey, you're
everyone in this
chilling.
chat can too. You know what I mean? MismatchedSocks. For some reason, I have such a hard time saying that name.
MismatchedSocks.
Mismatched socks.
It's a little bit of a tongue twister.
Yeah, sitting at 96 HP. And let's see where he's going right now. He's got a couple rebels online. We don't have to assume that it's going to be Master Yi, but it's most likely going to be
with
Master
the RFC
Yi.
slam, I'd be willing to bet it is Master Yi for this entire game here, especially already having a Master Yi at 2-4 whenever he had it. It's definitely looking that route. No bows here though, so can't make that our Runaan's Hurricane.
Is got half of everything he needs now though. Gets the other glove, and that's going to help as well. Picks up that Malphite to give him a little bit more meat to go through, so that Master Yi, even here at level 1, can get some things going on. The Thieves' Gloves is a great choice here. I feel like Blade Masters can usually handle the Thieves' Gloves pretty well. Something else we saw is, again, that intention of choice with some of our players. It's just, you know what? He saw the opportunity for the gloves. He did it. Might not be the best choice, but we could make that potentially a better choice as more opportunities present itself as we get more of our team comp in line.
Yeah, choosing to put the Thieves' Gloves on that Malphite is very interesting to me. Malphite rolled the Ludens, which he literally cannot use. Gets a little bit more AP from the double rods, but can't utilize Ludens or the tier. Meh. If that wasn't the Ziggs, you know, they've been really, really good. But is what it is. I'm sure that Malphite will be sold after not too long. And we'll probably, if I were to assume, go on Irelia or Yasuo, one of the two there.
We've seen Socks transition super late into those Blade Masters, so at any given time it can happen. It's kind of like it's like a gamble, right? It's like, is it gonna be before 4-3? Everybody put in your bets for this Blade Master comp. And so far 4-3 seems to be like kind of like when around its time it seems to be like where it starts getting online. We got we're here at 0. Someone else who has throughout the day gotten better and better. Now that everyone has kind of used these items, is actually very interesting. This is part of the reason why the new treasure trove is good. Even though those 3 item components were pretty similar and we got a couple IEs, a lot of variety outside of that.
Yeah, definitely. The IE, very, very appealing option for a lot of players, but, you know, we saw, say, from doubles earlier, the QSS slam. We see a Luden slam here for Xeros. Ooh, that Nocturne actually, GA, IE, Hodge, kind of tore through everything at the end there.
Yeah, sure did. Got that lifesteal as well, as we're looking over at doubles. Once again, having a hard time right now. This is not where you want to be if you're in this position.
62 HP. Looking at the board here, like doubles doesn't really have anything going for him. Ah, man, kind of hate to see it here. Doubles has been struggling today, and it seems as though he's continuing to struggle right now.
When it rains, it pours, man.
It really does, especially in doubles' case.
Yeah, I got the double bomb though with that Ziggs tearing through these Terror Bursters. Absolutely no chance for these Terror Bursters to come back at this point. Really? Hey, we got some we got some mega items here too. So we also have an Ionic Spark maybe that can go on a Jace. Interesting though, this would not be my preference
Bramble
in terms
Slam.
of items I currently have on my bench.
Yeah, like what are we doing with this? We're making Jeweled Gauntlet maybe for the victor, saving the sword for a Shojin. I don't know. Doubles.
I don't think he does either, my friend. Unfortunately, he could.
Man, I was gonna say I don't like the fact that he's taking 2 Ziggs in here again. I would rather have sold that little Ziggs one for like a Karma or something. You know, buff up something. The Ziggs or the Mordekaiser give you a couple of Dark Stars.
It's actually seeming to work out right now. If that Mordekaiser gets to tier 2, he's definitely going to help himself stabilize.
Yeah.
An early tier 2 Mordekaiser with items can be frustratingly tanky. It feels overpowered sometimes, and then you get to the late game, you're like, oh, okay, we're cool. And things should be fine, especially with grievous wounds and maybe a cast to break through that shield. But we don't really see that as much anymore.
No, not really. Sphinx, though, one of the players that could definitely contest MismatchedSocks for the victory here, is looking like he wants to run some Jinx Brawlers or Jinx Rebels, maybe even. Has Sphinx played 4 different comps in 4 games?
I think so. Proud of you, buddy. I've known Sphinx for a very, very long time. I'm very, very happy with his performance today to run 4 different comps. I mean, the last time I think we casted him, he played mech with someone else for all 4 rounds, and unfortunately, I think they both struggled through their days. As Doublezzzz does have the mech online.
Yeah, we went away from it for a second. It's like, boom, all of a sudden there's a mech. How'd that happen?
But the Lucian and the Kog'Maw is going to be enough, even though they're just tier 1.
Yeah. Doublezzzz threw in a bunch of stuff at tier 1, so as soon as he finds those upgrades, he'll be strong, but is not there quite yet. Here's a lot of units that he needs though. That another Annie, a Karma, Shaco is leveled up. Like he's kind of just hitting actually.
Yeah, Jeweled Gauntlet on Victor might be a okay choice here. Are we starting to kind of power up that Victor? There are no tiers online for Doublezzzz at all. So if you don't have that blue buff, what do you put as your secondary item on Victor, if at all?
Shojin only needs 1 tier really, and I think as soon as he gets tier from this next carousel, which no matter what happens, Doublezzzz is picking first. Probably will look for that tier. That is an Ashe with Jhin items, but I don't think Ashe performs very well with them, I will say.
She's not known for her hard-hitting attacks. As you're seeing right now, she's pretty much throwing cotton balls. It's more, it's like here, and it's like in an anime where like the things just like knock off the the men and nothing really happens. Is pretty much what happened there.
Your attacks are futile, Ashe.
Yeah, exactly. The Crystal Arrow, arguably one of the best ults in the entire game. But the Deathblade is going to work once you get ramped up, but man, attack speed's always been better on Ashe.
Yeah, definitely. So, wonder if Double's able to pick up that tier, because there is one on the carousel. Got some spats here as well.
Sorry, my game is
same.
So yeah, we're just trying our best, everyone. It happens. Here we go. We good to go. Treebeard is back, 90 HP. One of the more underrated little legends, by the way. That poor generation of little legends, the one where these guys came out not too long ago. I feel like everyone kind of just forgot about them because the Spirit Blossom little legends are pretty fantastic.
That they are. Agreed, for sure.
But now we haven't seen any Riven really. We haven't seen a lot of like sorcerers. We saw Treebeard run Syndra once. I think we saw someone else run the Syndra a little bit later. But really, again, on a Fight Night Rising, not a ton of that Star Guardian comp, as the Blitzcrank gets a nice pull onto that Caitlyn. And this Ashe, even with less items, will probably find more value than the one we saw that was itemized out, just because of how the round went off. But Treebeard demolishing Impeeba there.
This is a double Zeke slam from Treebeard here. Now Treebeard does like unorthodox playstyles, does like to slam some unorthodox items. But Doublezzzz, is that going to scale well into the late game? Like, he's 9 HP right now, top of the lobby, but it must fall off at some point.
And you have to get a tier 3, right? Because it's a tiered item, so it won't get into the late game if you never find that tier 3. I mean, you're putting a lot of energy and effort into something that might not happen, which is something in TFT that I feel like is one of those, you should not do this, right? You should go for those high percentage plays. And Zeke's is one of those items that's great if you find it completed on a carousel, but to make it and use those components, use those swords, use those belts in that way, I like the intention behind it, right? Like, I like that he's making a decision. We'll see if it's going to work, as we're looking at Zero right now, who's running what's looking like going to be a cybernetic comp a little bit later.
Yep, and is decently strong right now. Hasn't been able to win streak this round, though. It's literally been loss, win, loss, loss, win, so very, very minimal streaking there. And isn't even that much, or doesn't have that much money either. Zero is getting to level 8 while still being on this HP is going to be quite the struggle.
Yeah, we talked about how cybernetics are all about that lose streak, especially in the early game. You got to pop in that Irelia and that Echo. There was a point in time not too long ago where Vayne was beyond broken and you didn't need Echo. But now you still kind of do, and I like that you need that 5 cost to really get this comp going, as we get 2 cloaks this time around. And you were saying, like, especially at the beginning, a cloak's not what you want, but here it could be a little bit different, especially with the Ionic Spark.
Yeah, using one cloak there is like, okay, that's good. I can make Ionic. That's kind of what I wanted on my Leona for the front line. But this other cloak is like, I don't really want that one. What am I gonna make, like disarm? Like,
I know,
not feeling good about that one.
Like, it's like taking like medicine that tastes bad. Like, as a kid, like Robitussin, I used to hate taking any type of like liquid medicine as a kid. I hate the taste of artificial cherry so much. It's like one of the worst flavors in the world.
I actually didn't mind it.
Really? Yeah. I was all about the grape back in the day, which I know I'm in the minority for. But the moral of the story is artificial cherry is disgusting. And but here, I forgot my
the
track
Vayne
of
1
thinking.
HP.
But the Vayne is at 1 HP, like you said. Thanks for the transition. And Zero is still looking for those cybernetics, as Impeeba seems to have stabilized quite a bit. Sitting in second place right now, has been up and down so far. Has a smattering of, I like to say, opportunities, right? When we're not quite somewhere, but we could get to somewhere. What kind of direction are we looking at for Impeeba?
Hey, with Impeeba, honestly, you never know. It could be a lot of things. But if we know Impeeba and his playstyle, and he's going to remain true to that, it's going to be a level up to level 9. Get those protectors in, those 5 cost units. Maybe we'll still run a couple snipers with that Jhin and that Ashe, but just gonna maintain a good front line and those snipers behind them. Maybe some Echo, some Janet in there as well, I would assume. He's definitely econing up well enough to go to 8 here. Pretty sure that he will. He's scouting around though, seeing if he really needs to do that.
Yeah, I mean, when you don't really see the other lobby being that aggressive, as he just levels to 50. Yeah, I actually really like the patience there.
Yeah, like if you're looking at this as like, what am I going to put in? What, a Soraka 1? You know, it's not that great. You can maybe put in an Infiltrator, but you'd have to really roll for something there. If Impeeba thinks that he's strong enough to hold on for now, I do like the patience as well.
It's all like, it's like that if statement though, right? It's like,
yeah,
if it
definitely
works,
an if.
I agree, right? If it doesn't, I disagree.
Yeah, it's kind of like, okay, if it works, forehead. But Impeeba very intentionally scouted around, looked at the lobby, said, I don't think I need to do this. So with that in mind, I will not level up. Did he evaluate the situation correctly, I suppose, is the real question here.
It looks like, at least for one round, the answer is yes. Has the Urgot on the carousel. We know that Impeeba likes that Urgot. It's going to be pretty hard for him to get there, but, you know, something that we got to say is Doublezzzz on fire. Was in arguably the roughest of rough in terms of that early game, but
Yeah.
finds the mech. I believe he gets the items he wants, is on fire right now. Thank goodness to the mech gods up there, because Doublezz finally gonna get to play the game a little bit today and compete potentially for that top 4.
Oh yeah, definitely. Doublezz was like 50 something HP after Krugs, let alone now being on stage 4 carousel, being on 48 on a 6 win streak right now. He is doing very, very well at this point. And has hit pretty much every single upgrade besides the Cassiopeia, but that's really just there for the Mystic and for the Battlecast. Doublezz gonna econ up, try to go to level 8. Maybe fit in demo at that point. Doesn't have the Zig still. Did sell that, but maybe high rolls into a GP. We'll see.
I like the redemption on the Karma, by the way. One of Karma, like with some items on it, is something that I wish that I could explore without losing as much as I do when I like, because I feel like there might be a combination where the Karma can, like, a utility carry, right? But as of right now, I mean, that redemption's totally going to help when she falls, even if she does. But to get a couple ultimates off with that Karma means so much more damage, so much more defense that you're going to provide the rest of your team. That is going to bring you a lot of these victories, as he's at number 7. Literally, when we switched off, that's when he landed everything. And so what that means, though, is that like the lobby now needs to react to Doublezz. It's not like Doublezz is in dire straits anymore. He potentially could actually have the strongest team in the lobby right now.
I think so. Will that remain to be the case into stage 5? I'm not too sure. That's when the likes of like Impeeba and Treebeard are really going to want to power spike, and Doublezz will be on level 8 at that point. But if he doesn't find a demolitionist, his comp isn't going to improve that much. Going up against MismatchedSocks here, Socks has indeed found the Runans, and has a Blademaster spat for the Zed as well. But still, it's not enough for this Doublezz mech and Victor.
Yeah, and that's something that if that Yi was a rank 3 Yi or tier 3 Yi, might have been gone a little bit differently. But yeah, not enough to break through that mech. Very strong for this point in the game. MismatchedSocks 2 had almost perfect items to Master Yi 2 with RFC on it already. I believe there is also a Hurricane, the most traditional version of that Blademaster build we've seen from Socks so far in like the last 2 weeks. And so I'm a little scared for the rest of the lobby, but I'm also scared for Socks because I feel like that probably was a little delayed, as he's at 40 HP. And with that comp, it's very feast or famine. You either win by 6 units or lose by 6 units. And right now, a little bit more losing for Socks.
Just a little bit. It's very interesting, the fact that he's kind of going a more standard route, but is maybe not doing as well. Maybe those little unorthodox variations that Socks is good at doing while maintaining his HP is kind of instrumental to his success while running those same variants of that Playmaster composition. He's rolled down a lot of gold here. Usually Socks would be close to level 9 right now, but he's been rolling. Maybe needed to find the Yi 2 or something, but he's not even close to Yi 3. I'm kind of scared for Socks here and being able to top 4.
And our lobby kind of flipped.
Yeah, it did.
It didn't kind of flip. It did flip. It's all backwards. Not technically like completely backwards, but our bottom 4 are our top 4 right now in terms of the standing. So this is very, very interesting in terms of what might happen to someone like Sphinx if he finishes in 7th place, right? That might be enough depending on how the rest of the lobby goes. But right now, MismatchedSocks is still not stabilized. That Vayne having everything they need, and Zhao breaking the curse of the tier 2 Vayne is able to find it with the right items, and that's going to end up beating a MismatchedSocks, who, if he loses, even harder here, might actually give an opportunity for someone like Sphinx, if Sphinx is able to stabilize, to win out.
That is very, very possible. Socks is being, I think, pretty greedy right now. Is leveling, or going to choose the level to 8, had sold the extra Yis that were on board. If he goes to 9, maybe can fit 6 rebels in. Does have 2 Blademaster spots, interestingly enough. Could even go 6 rebels next level, selling that Fizz, putting Ziggs in, plus whatever other rebel. Socks choosing to play this very risky. We'll see if it works out for him, though.
has the 6 Blade Masters now. Ooh, but a lot of them are low. The Jin, though, is going
Okay.
to get taken out pretty early. And is this a stabilization as Ares falls? And he's competing for that 3rd spot, I believe. And this is not going well. I believe he had to finish 2 ahead of Zhao. But now we're
Yeah, I
looking
believe so.
at Zero, who could maybe sneak into the top 4, especially since he's gotten better throughout the day. Sitting at some really good items for that Vayne. We got Blademaster Vayne, a lot of Blademasters on the field right now, a lot of Blademaster spatulas,
Oh yeah.
3 of them so far.
Yeah, at least 3, at least from what we've seen. Probably only 3. Oh no, there's actually another one right there. That's 4.
Crazy. I know.
Yeah,
This is,
that's so
4th
many
lobby
actually.
craziness, right? So 4 Blademaster spatulas, which means every Blademaster from here on out is going to
Yeah.
be so valuable, as the mech is only going to get 1 unit so far. That Vayne is destroying doubles right now.
Yeah, the Victor's gonna get another cast off,
Oh.
but does miss the Vayne though. Vayne, still not gonna do it. I want to say a couple things about Doublezzzz here. He is win streaking still, and now on the top of the lobby. What a transformation of Doublezzzz that we've seen for the first 3 games to right now. That mech he hit Victor 2, and boom, destroying. Impeeba, on the other hand, unfortunately got 8th here. Not a great day for Impeeba. Impeeba first to Wraith, feast or famine. He
Yeah.
is not feasted.
That
He's not
that
feasted.
transition was really great, Khroen. Just so you know, Double sitting in 1st place, Impeeba in 8th. And and so as you say, that is where we stand. I'm really proud of Doublezzzz. It's hard to have 3 rough games and come back like this. Like, I really respect players who, are eliminated from the top 3 but come into this 4th lobby and play spoiler. I love that. And I like the fact that they're not phoning it in, and because we've seen that before. But I
Yeah.
definitely prefer everyone play straight as long as we're here. But yeah, Sphinx 16 HP, Ares 2 HP, Zhao sitting at 31, 0-23. This is a very, very close lobby, even though Doublezzzz is at 48. The reason why it's close is because he's the only one that hasn't really lost, and he was last place by a lot when he started this win streak. So this
Yeah.
could still go either way, as the field is colored purple with those Shroud of Stillness. Nice. I love
Yeah.
Redemption
So
too.
many.
Yeah, we got the Wukong going into the backline as well. Some really good hunting from that Wukong. Some nice ring around the rosy. Will Zhao be able to make things happen with this Vayne? The answer is yes.
Yep.
As Zero is going to get down to 8 HP. I wonder if we got any other eliminations. Yes, Ares is out, so I believe that means no top 4 or top 3 for him.
Yeah, probably not. Also got word, at least from the chat, that Impeeba lagged out, maybe DC'd, so unfortunately maybe that is the reason. Well, that is the reason why. If that is true, that Impeeba did get 8th here. Unfortunate, because it did seem like Impeeba was in a good spot earlier on in the game, but moving forward from here, Ares in 7th. Yeah, definitely it feels bad, man. But Sphinx is kind of low HP right now, 16, maybe in a position to where he would not top 4 for a game.
Yeah, we basically, all Sphinx needed to do was finish in the top 4. If he doesn't do that, he opens the door, right? And that's not something you want to do. You want to be shutting those doors and locking them right now in that 4th lobby. And though he's gonna continue to win. It seems like everyone is stabilized. This is really freaking close, though.
It is.
Which makes which makes the Impeeba, DC that much hurtful, right? Just to have one more player involved in this would be awesome. But unfortunately, God, technology. You'd think in 2020 we'd figure it out, but
not fully.
Only when you need it does it break.
Yeah. Doublezzzz sitting in a good position to go to level 9 here. What does he put in at 9? Probably just a Janna, I would suppose. Maybe a Thresh to pull these units in. Has a couple of options here. Looking to find a Gangplank 2.
Yeah, Doublezzzz did lose a little earlier as the win streak no one is on anymore. Literally, I mean, if Sphinx and MismatchedSocks lose by a lot, they could be eliminated in 1 round, but most of them, except for Zero, have most likely 2 rounds to work with. But to have 6 people at 6-1 is actually pretty nutty. I believe at this time in the last lobby we were already at our top 4. So again, a lot more even. No one is as dominant. Like our last 3 lobbies, we had someone in first place just knocking people off, right? 10 to 15 HP every round. Not really happening this time. As we're still looking over at doubles, people seem to be catching up to the power level of this mech. The Giant Slayer and the last Whisper for the Vayne from Sphinx actually is going to be doing a lot of work on that mech. The mech doesn't last very long. Now the next victim needs to be that Victor, but it looks like the victim is actually going to be Sphinx instead. Is he able to survive? No.
no.
Loses by a lot there and is going to get 5th. Might have been enough there based on the fact that Treebeard finished ahead and Doublezzzz did, and neither of them were really competing. So I believe Sphinx does get into the top 3.
This is 9 Blade Masters for MismatchedSocks. I don't think I've ever seen anyone run this personally, but that's going to be 100% chance to proc BM. I definitely want to watch this round.
I know.
I'm so curious.
All right,
9 BM, like? The absolute mad lad. Just every auto attack procs. How do you lose?
Yeah, the animation's having a hard time like keeping up.
I guess you lose because it sucks.
Yeah. that is how you do it. As love it, man.
You lose because it's bad.
Yeah, Khroen, sometimes you lead a joke and I'm like, okay, we have to set up, and you just tell the truth afterward, and it works so well, man. I love the style. As a bunch of people get eliminated in the last 2 rounds, as we get Treebeard and Doublezzzz, a final 2 that we would not have expected, I think, at this point in the game. Love the fact that they're playing spoilers. I maybe Treebeard can sneak into a 3rd place. We'll see at the end, because I mean he did get 6th, 5th, 5th, so maybe it has been enough as we get 2 GPs. If one doesn't ult, the other one should, hopefully, especially with the GA.
Yeah, definitely. This Doublezzzz has carried Treebeard to this point, or helped to do so. Is GP1 going to be enough? 2 GP1s even. Doesn't even get the ulti off, even with the GA. Doublezzz's mech is just way too strong. That is going to be an ultimate from the GP of Doublezz, and nearly takes out Treebeard there, sitting on 2 HP. He has 1 more preparation phase to go to try to even this one out.
As Doublezz, I believe, has only lost 1 round out of like the last 10 or 11.
Yeah, it's insane, actually. Like the strength. That's what I was talking to you about. You know, after the break or before the break, at some point near the break, was this mech. Is it going to be good enough to be winning consistently in the late game when you get to the point that like Doublezz has here? He has Victor 2, Aurelion Sol 2. Echo 2, only GP1, mind you, but even still, the rest of the comp is just so good looking.
Yeah.
And Treebeard found the GP2 of his own, so maybe this is the turning point.
Double trap claw on the Asol, that actually could be
potentially
really, yeah, that could be game changing because of the stun. NECC is so strong here, but this could be Treebeard's last fight, the lobby's last fight. We do have the Asol in the back. The GP ults are going to hit everyone on both sides. It looks like who will survive? That mech is going to burst him down. Not even close, as Doublezz is going to win the lobby. Had a very up and down day. Or really down that up day. Down that up day, but ends it with a win. That feels amazing if you're Doublezz. Probably screwed some people over in the meantime as well, in terms of these scores, which we'll get for you in a second. But the mech really showing up here. When we see it tends to do well.
Definitely. Doublezz played really well. I think played the mech composition how it should have been played. Granted, the fact that he was kind of strongly leaning towards it, maybe even tunneled on that with slamming the QSS before the first neutral rounds were over, but still, it was good enough to bring him into 6th. We have, though, MismatchedSocks with 2 first place and 2 third place. By far the victor of tonight. Congratulations, MismatchedSocks. And we have Sphinx and Zhao in a close 2nd and 3rd. Only 1 point there that Sphinx is leading by that. Arestidios got to top 4, so got into the money, but not quite enough for the invite back. Treebeard needed the win there in order to get that top 4, but is going to trail by 1 point there. Again, Doublezz in 6th, Zeros in 7th. And rounded out by who's that in 8th actually? Impeeba in 8th, yeah. But we had some games today here. Are we gonna have an interview today with Socks? I hope so.
As we all say, I hope so at the
Yeah.
same time. We got to ask about 9 Blade Masters. That's why. And and how it did not work. It's
Yeah.
so funny because you would assume that these reach comps, like old school 9 Yordles, if you got old school 9 Yordles, you won the game,
Oh my
right?
god.
I saw Tabs do it
Yordles.
one time, and I literally was like, I'm gonna not play TFT in protest. This one last person, but as you all know, I have a thing against Yordles. But what this is kind of showing us is these reach comps they're there, but it's better to use those resources to kind of get the points of interest around your carry a little bit more beefy and standard and able to do a little bit more work on their own, so not all of the weight is on something like that Master Yi.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, I am curious though to see a player like Sox's point of view on a patch like this that is so versatile, and sort of get some insight into him, wanting to force Blade Masters so much. If he thinks that being versatile and having a flexible playstyle is a bit better because he did pivot today and didn't go BMs every single game, is that going to be telling for the direction he wants to go tomorrow? Going into these Worlds qualifiers, like this is the biggest scope TFT tournament that we have seen. Players are going to definitely be preparing and giving it their all. So I'm kind of curious about that perspective there.
Same. The other thing, if we actually can bring those scores back up as we potentially wait for MismatchedSocks in that interview, I want to bring your eyes to one thing that is a little concerning. As much as I love Sphinx, right, especially with these 3 results here, he did get worse every round, right? As opposed to someone like Treebeard, who got stronger as the day went on. In a tournament setting, is it better to do? I mean, it obviously was better to do what Sphinx did, which was start strong and then kind of relax a little bit later. But for tomorrow, is that something that is going to fly?
Yeah, I don't know. Sphinx, yeah, like you said, had a good start, but kind of tapered off, It's not really gonna fly tomorrow. I think every single person in tomorrow's lobby for that Worlds qualifier is going to be insanely
Oh god.
strong. Socks,
Oh shit.
hello.
Yo, hello.
How's it going?
Congratulations on your victory.
Yo, thank you. Thank you so much. How's it going? Yeah, it's going really well. Honestly, came into this tournament expecting to play Bane Bros every game, and then obviously that didn't happen. I played some Slash Bros, so I mean it's a bit bummer, but it is what it is. So it's okay.
Okay, here is the question, Socks. Walk me through the very important decision-making process of getting to 9 Blade Masters and then losing. How does that feel?
Yeah. So basically, with 6 p.m., I noticed that Master Yi wasn't really pumping as hard as he should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought by adding 3 more Blade Masters to support him, he'd be pumping a lot harder. 9 Blade Masters, actually one of the worst synergies of all time. It's awful. It's literally 9 different. The difference between 9 and 6 is actually minimal. You might as well play 8 BMs. It's actually the same thing. So I've never got to play 9 BM. That was my first time trying it. I just want to try it before I actually throw in the NA qualifiers by trying for 9 BM. So now I know never to play this shit. It's actually bad.
Yeah, it's limit testing, right?
Yep, it's actually super awful.
Definitely. I saw that you had, those 2 BM spots pretty early on to the game. It didn't even cross my mind. It's just 9 BMs just written off as, oh, this is a bad synergy. It's one of those chase ones that you'll never go for. But I respect the fact that you tried it, went for it, but then promptly lost the next round. Oh well, you still performed very, very well today. And in preparation for it tomorrow, I actually wanted to ask you, like, do you come into this tournament, this Fight Night Rising, as your prep for how you're going to play for tomorrow?
Yeah, so I actually want to play Bane Bros every game. I don't think Bane Bros are particularly super strong. I legitimately don't think so. There's a lot of requirements for Bane Bros, and it's something that only works against weaker players because stronger players will just demolish your HP before you even get it online. So I think in that sense, my practice on the NA ladder has been kind of like misleading. Like I think I can force it pretty well on the NA ladder, but I don't think it will work well as well on the tournament. But I'm hoping that the one thing that can give me like a saving grace is that other people will know that I'm like a well-known Bane Bro player and try to avoid it. So if they try to avoid it, then I might have a better luck at hitting them in the qualifiers. So that's just the whole strategy behind it.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of reminiscent back to that, that mech meta where we had, mech forcers every single game on ladder, people going to tournaments, just being like, if you can test me, we're holding hands. And if you steer other people off of that direction, you very well could get a good placement there. But this is, however, on one of the most flexible, versatile patches that TFT has ever seen. There's so many compositions that are strong. Do you think that if you scare everybody off of playing BMs, that it would be better to do that versus just being just very, very flexible?
Well, this tournament has a really, really stupid and unique playstyle where if you want to win the tournament, you actually literally have to get first.
Yeah.
So basically the whole idea is that like instead of being flexible and getting like top 4 every game, it's actually way better to know one comp or two comps in and out. And like when you need it the most, you can get first with it. Basically, yeah. I'm the best Bane Bro player by a wide margin right now. And like if I can definitely turn like a good start into a first. And like if I was to play like 5 or 6 comp and practice them, I'd be okay at all the comps. But like the situation where turning like a second into a first would not happen. With Bane Bros, I can turn like a third into a first. And that's why I decided to all in on like one comp. Because the tournament format is so stupid, right?
I mean, I personally agree with you. I'm not a huge fan of that format, and I think you have some good insight there as well. So thank you for that. Boop, do you have any other questions?
I mean, so Socks, you've been around the TFT world for a while. We have one of the biggest tournaments we've ever seen for TFT starting tomorrow. Do you have anything you want to say to your competitors? This is your shot,
yeah. I just want to say I am playing Bane Bros 20 out of 20. If you can test me, we will hold hands going 6, 7, 8. Kiyu, you're not playing Bane Bros. I'm playing Bane Bros. Also, Slate, nice try, brother. I am Bane 20 out of 20.
Bang 20 out of 20. MismatchedSocks 2020. What an amazing quote. We're not going to top that, Khroen. We got that is amazing. I mean, I hope you get like 18 followers for that one sentence, man. I love the banter. And I love banter so much. So I appreciate you, Socks. And thank you for coming on. And congratulations on 2 lobby wins. Getting those bros banging and getting to that first place, too.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, man. Khroen, any final words, my friend?
Oh man, what do we even say after that?
I know, right? One of the best interviews, man.
I cannot top that one. Oof, this is too much pressure. But no, these games were a lot of fun to cast. We saw MismatchedSocks, bang 20 out of 20, but not quite. Did pivot one game. So will that be reminiscent of what's going to happen tomorrow? Who knows? But it'll be some exciting matches to watch nonetheless. And there were some exciting games to watch and cast here alongside you, Boop. Had a good time, and next week we're gonna have more of the same.
Yeah, and I think the picture of what TFT competitive esports is going to look so different after tomorrow, right? We're going to have players to watch. We're going to separate the good from the bad, and the people who rise to the top will most likely stay there, and everyone's going to have the motivation to knock them down now that we have that incentive and we have that ability to say, I'm the best TFT player in the world, and this is why. And getting that started up here tomorrow is something I'm so excited about. So make sure everyone watches those qualifiers, because we, I believe, had 3 people today, Treebeard, Socks, and Sphinx, who are going to be competing. So you got to see a little taste of it today. But tomorrow, it's a big day in the world of TFT, and it's going to set up, hopefully, the rest of competitive TFT really, really well.
Definitely. I'm so excited. Watching the competition of the best players in the world is very motivating and very exciting for me personally. So I will be sure to tune in, and hopefully you all at home will as well. But that will about wrap it up for us here tonight. Boop, once again, it's been a pleasure casting alongside you. Glad to get back into the groove of this.
Yeah, it's so fun, dude. So fun. I love casting with you.
It is a treat nonetheless. And we will see you all next week for some more Fight Night Rising. Until then, take care, watch the qualifiers tomorrow, and see you next time.